are atop the NL West for the first time in a few months. They are currently one game up on the Dodgers after the Dodgers got swept by the Angels over the last 3 days. Tomorrow, they will be in Los Angeles taking on the Dodgers for a 3-game set. That game is going at 7:10. Michael King will be going for the Padres, while Clayton Kershaw will be going for the Dodgers. And star wide receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs, Rashee Rice, his court date was set for September 30th following the car crash that he suffered 2 years ago. He will be able to play the first 4 games of the season before his suspension comes down. Need HVAC. This month gets 0% for 18 months on a new system. Schedule your free proposal at AndersonPHA.com. Anderson, fast and reliable.
And let's get it going on a Thursday here on San Diego Sports 760. Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you till 3 o'clock today. We got an extra hour. Today is John and Jim are going to be live from 3 to 7 from Fan Fest out at Snapdragon Stadium. Sammy and I from 12 to 3 today. John and Jim 3 to 7. Right after Sammy and I get off the air, we're going to head down to Snapdragon Stadium for Fan Fest, get our first looks at this 2025 Aztecs football team. The Padres have taken over first place in the National League West. Good to see when you Google MLB standings and you look at the wild card. Padres no longer on the wild card list. They are now on the division leader list. They're in second place overall in the National League behind the Milwaukee Brewers, who seem like they just beat the crap out of everybody and already are at like 76 wins or something. Padres just over the Phillies, who have one less game played so far than the Padres. But good to see Padres now have overtaken the Dodgers, first place in National League West. And sure enough, they're playing the Dodgers this weekend up in LA. But the Dodgers 0-6 against the Angels so far in 2025, which is just wild to see. It proves that the baseball gods of Los Angeles are in fact not wearing Dodger blue. And according to Colin Cowherd and Jason McIntyre, Patrick Mahomes sucks. The Kansas City Chiefs aren't going to make the playoffs. They're the worst team in the history of professional football. So I think we got a lot to get to over the next 3 hours. Sammy, how are you doing? Do you like the last 15 minutes of the herd today?
I thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
Thought it was a lot of hey, it's good social media.
I wrote down something that Jason McIntyre said. Would you mind if I just read it out loud?
Read it, please.
Jason McIntyre said, Josh Allen is the best player in football. It's not even close. And he said, you can have the conversation about Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson, but Josh Allen's really the guy.
See, it's hard to even respond to that because a take like that is just so out of left field in the sense of.
Look, that was J-Mac, man. He's a buddy of mine.
I mean, that's fine. If Mahomes can be lower on the list, he's beat all those guys in the playoffs. So that's fine. And the record against him in the playoffs is what? Lamar's 0-1, Josh Allen's 0-4, and Burrow's 1-1. So crazy take, but everyone's entitled to their own beliefs. But yes, the Padres are one game above.
Sammy's so bad. So I can't actually hear. Sammy and I are in separate rooms. And so the microphone is the way we communicate when we're not actually on the air. We have a button that's called the talkback where we can kind of communicate back and forth. But while Jason McIntyre was talking, I could hear Sammy audibly groaning and grunting and maybe saying a couple F-bombs while Jason McIntyre was talking.
I don't know what you're talking about. Everyone's entitled to their takes.
And there was a lot of, what the F does this guy even think? He's probably just a Jets fan. He should go just be with the Jets. Blah, 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 blah. You were so angry, Sammy. Kind of good looking when you're angry.
Okay, this is creepy. We have a 3-hour show and you've already hit on me 4 minutes into the show. This is very odd.
I'm kind of just more like poking you on, prodding you on. But don't worry.
Don't say poking and prodding me on after you just hit on me.
Don't worry, Sammy, because First Things First is now over on FS1. So you could listen to Nick Wright, who is just going to give you all the confirmation bias you ever want to hear about the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, Nick Wright's someone I listen to.
In fact, about halfway through that conversation between Colin and Jason, Sammy did come over the microphone and say, can we please get Nick Wright in this room?
They know, and then now he's on TV, so everything's perfect.
Just so you could deal with your echo chamber of Chiefs fans, but that's not important today, Sammy. Football season's still 20 days out.
You're the one that brought this up. Listen, the Padres are game up on the Dodgers in the NL West. Crazy series this weekend. I mean, you're talking about MLB, a league that lacks a lot of times outside of the playoffs. It lacks kind of the serious series, the do or die feeling of a series. And obviously this weekend isn't do or die, whoever wins of the 3-game set, but this is going to be super exciting. Obviously Padres playing excellent baseball right now, sweeping the Giants. The Dodgers feel like they're in a little bit of a free fall. The bullpen has been an abject disaster for them. And it feels like if the Dodgers, it used to be if they could get a lead, which happened a lot because the bats are pretty good, it felt like the game was over. And now that has just completely changed. So really excited for this weekend. Going to be a hell of a series. And I wonder how many people get hit by bullpen pitchers.
Probably a few, I would guess, but that was a great subject change, Sammy, who's obviously so uncomfortable about the Kansas City Chiefs not making the postseason this year, about Patrick Mahomes' fall from grace, Travis Kelce not really being able to be a good tight end in football anymore. We got a lot to get to today, and we'll talk plenty of Padres. In fact, Coach Kentera is going to be joining the show coming up at 1:30, talk Padres with the coach. Coming up at 12:30, senior offensive analyst of the San Diego State Aztecs, Ryan Lindley, former teammate of Rich Ohrnberger, also the career leader in passing yards at San Diego State, is going to be jumping on the show at 12:30 to talk about this Aztecs football season, talk about Fan Fest, what's going down tonight at Snapdragon Stadium. By the way, tickets are free for Fan Fest. Just go to goaztecs.com. You can claim some tickets. Take the whole family out. They're going to be doing a little scrimmage at 7 o'clock tonight.
The text line and DMs are very freaked out about you prodding and hitting on your co-host this early in the show. It's very, very a weird way to start the day, but we got 3 hours of this. So stick around, everybody.
We got 3 hours, and then we're hanging out tonight too, Sammy. We're just getting started with the poking and the prodding.
Oh,
we got plenty of time to hang out all day today. Just wait. You're not even ready for this. Let's get to the big three, though, where Sammy Long takes us through the top stories in the world of sports. Sammy, smash that button.
Your lunch break is here. Ready to go back to the office and knock the socks off your friends? Coworkers? It's time for the top stories of the day. The Big Three.
Buddy Paris on YouTube saying this will be a pivotal series. LFG San Diego. Could not agree with you more, Paris. If you want to jump on YouTube, you can find us at San Diego Sports 760. We'd love a subscription there. And John and Jim take it over right after we get off the air. If you want to watch on X at Fletch and Sammy, would love a follow there. We'll follow you back right away. Sammy, where we start with hour one?
Let's start with Dodgers Padres heading into the weekend. By the way, Dodger reporter David Vassay from our sister station AM 570 will be on this show tomorrow at 12:30. So we'll get a little bit of a crossfire there. So make sure to tune in. So I'm going to read you the pitching matchups. Then I'm going to ask a question. Friday night, Clayton Kershaw against Michael King. Saturday night, we got Blake Snell against Dylan Cease. And then Sunday on the midday game, we have Yu Darvish against Tyler Glasnow. Which of those pitching matchups is most exciting for you to watch just as kind of a neutral spectator?
Well, so the most exciting is going to be Blake Snell versus Dylan Cease. Blake Snell in a Dodger uniform pitching against the Padres. It's going to be fascinating as hell to watch. I'm assuming there is a massive contingent of Padre fans who are driving up to LA this weekend for the series. And I'm very curious to just hear what that one sounds like. Also, Dylan Cease against the Dodgers. Last time we saw that happen, didn't exactly go very well. He pitched against them this year. In the postseason a year ago, Dylan Cease against the Dodgers was not great. So I'm curious to see how he looks. But the one that I'm most fascinated by is actually Michael King, Clayton Kershaw. Clayton Kershaw, one of the greatest pitchers of my lifetime. I like to talk a lot of smack about Kershaw, but he truly is most likely the greatest pitcher of my lifetime, especially in the regular season. Don't look at his postseason stats. But then on the other side, Michael King, I think there's still a lot of Padre fans who are just out of curiosity. What is he right now? Because he wasn't great in his first return. Obviously, he was at a pitch count. But is Michael King going to start looking like Michael King sooner rather than later? I think a lot of Padre fans have the same question. So King, Kershaw makes the cake for me.
The most exciting definitely is Cease and Snell in terms of the best for both sides. I feel like that's you're putting two ace pitchers out there. Blake Snell just got back from injury a couple weeks ago and had a rough first outing, but then really kind of got it together last time out. So that should be fun. As you mentioned, you got the whole former Padre narrative going there. Dylan Cease has been fantastic. Is Dylan Cease able to get a little bit of revenge for how he played against the Dodgers last year in the postseason? Obviously, that second start was on short rest, which is not totally his fault, more Mike Schilt. But that one's going to be really exciting. And then, yeah, Friday, like I'm curious as a whole for the Padres pitchers because we know the bullpen is super elite. The bats have really come around. We know the Padres have the stars to potentially go win a World Series. And it looks like as of the last couple of weeks after the trade deadline, they have a back end of the lineup to really support it. It's not just the top four anymore, which it felt like before. The one thing you would look at to where if the Padres go to the playoffs and lose would be the starting rotation. That would be the one, I'm not going to say weak link because it's not bad. There are solid starting pitchers for the Padres, but that would be I think the weakest link of the kind of big three there. So I'm curious how they perform. This is a big weekend. You also know that the Dodgers bullpen has been awful recently. So if you're Dave Roberts, if you're the Dodgers, you're hoping that your starters go a long ways in this game. I'm really curious in all three games. I'm curious to see if the hitters can really kind of knock these pitchers out and get to the bullpen, which would really favor the Padres certainly as of right now with all the pitchers injured for the Dodgers right now.
What's next?
Let's head to college football. Kind of a weird story. Carson Beck, the transfer from Georgia, going to Miami, got paid $4 million to transfer. People thought he was going to come to the NFL. Now, his offensive coordinator, Shannon Dawson, thinks he has the ability to be the number 1 overall pick. This comes after Arch Manning is widely expected to be the number 1 overall pick next year if he comes out. Are we over-evaluating next year's quarterback class from an NFL perspective?
There's a chance, yeah, especially if Arch isn't included in this in next year's draft. Drew Aller, for my money, is the best quarterback in college football heading into this year. The Carson Beck thing is interesting because now we're seeing him with this offensive line in Miami, which he's already talked about a couple times. I think the quote was, man, I got to get used to all this time that I have now as a quarterback. Look, putting someone in a new situation, you're going to see something different. But the kid at Oklahoma, John Mateer, is certainly interesting heading into this year. We'll see what he does translating from Washington State to Oklahoma. Carson Beck is going to be fascinating this year. Arch Manning will have all the eyes of the country on him for every single start he makes because of his name and because of all the hype surrounding him. I would say we are definitely over-evaluating this class. Overvalue, what did you say?
Overvaluing.
Overanalyzing, maybe?
Overvaluing is a word.
Like we're thinking it's too...
Like people are widely expecting next year's quarterback class to be really good.
There's some big names who are going to be coming into the draft class this year. Arch Manning being the biggest, and if he stays or if he goes is going to be huge.
Well, the thing that no one's talking about is the fact that the most surefire probably pick next year is Lenoris Sellers out of Mississippi State. This guy won SEC Freshman of the Year last year. He's really flying under the radar because Arch Manning gets a lot of headlines. Even though Carson Beck, I don't think Carson Beck is that great. I think he will have a kind of a fan-friendly offense in Miami, especially with their schedule not being that tough. But at Georgia, it was odd. Kirby Smart, they always had great running backs, so he was never really a shotgun passer, but then when they needed him to step up, he didn't always do that, especially with the amount of talent that Georgia had. Arch Manning is what we think he's going to be fantastic, but at the same time, we haven't really seen him play. We've seen him start twice against a directional school. He got in the playoff against Arizona State, and he looked good doing it. So I don't want to rip the guy, but he should be really good. But it feels like, yeah, next year's class is really based on projections. Even Drew Aller. Drew Aller's a guy that didn't play that great when they played Notre Dame in the quarterfinal last year, and it's all based on his kind of high school expectations. So it's interesting to see how the rookie quarterbacks this year in the NFL, your Shedeur Sanders, your Jackson Darts, your guys like that, how much playing time they get to see if they are that good heading into next year, or if this is more of a fan view that the quarterback class next year is going to be really good. I wonder what the NFL really thinks because they haven't got to evaluate these guys over a full season yet.
And no one's really even talking about the Clemson guy who also is going to be top. Klubnik. Yeah. He's supposed to be a stud as well. I'm curious because last year was considered such a bad quarterback draft class, even at the top with Cam Ward. It wasn't sure that he was going to be at the top until about 2 weeks before the draft. Where next year everyone was saying, yeah, but if you can push your attention to next year, that's where all the gold is going to be. And that's because of the guys we just listed, the Drew Allers, the Klubnik, and Arch Manning, if he decides to come out. It should be better. We'll see.
Let's get to a third story. Let's head to soccer, actually. Let's go to U.S. men's national soccer. We don't talk a ton of U.S. men's national soccer on this show. But before the Gold Cup, which is the tournament the U.S. played in this summer, the last competitive matches that they were going to have before the World Cup next year, there was a lot of beef going back and forth. Christian Pulisic, Tyler Adams, some of the top players for the U.S. men's national team sat out. Some of the former stars, your Clint Dempsey's, your Landon Donovans, had massive problems with this, kind of calling out those players for being lazy. Tyler Adams, one of the stars of the U.S. men's national team, says Christian Pulisic, quote, doesn't have to earn the respect of anyone, basically taking a shot at all the former U.S. men's national players. What is your vibe with this team heading into the World Cup, which is on a countdown now on home soil?
They better freaking win. Look, it has to get better. If you want people to start taking soccer seriously here, the U.S. men's national team needs to be good. And now most of them all play elsewhere, not in the MLS. This could be the first step to getting U.S. men's national players actually back and playing in the United States on a regular basis. I don't know that MLS ever gets to the level of the Premier League or anything like that. I know there's a huge push here in the United States to make it more and more popular, and we're starting to see it here at Snapdragon Stadium with SDFC. It's starting to take hold more in the United States. But if you go into the World Cup and you are a complete flop when it's on your home soil, that's going to push you back 5 or 10 years.
And it's interesting with this because kind of leading into it, there's a lot of drama with it in how like Pulisic's the first American player that is a star overseas. He plays for AC Milan. He's a legit star player. And a lot of the American players, there's a lot of solid American players that play overseas, but they're not like big time players where your Argentinas or your French teams or your England teams are stacked with stars, and the bench is stacked with guys that are stars on big time teams. So it does feel like this U.S. men's national team has the ability, maybe a higher talent pool than they have had in years past. They obviously got the new coach and Pochettino in there, but it is odd that it's like all this beef going back and forth between the former players and the current players. I get them being frustrated that these guys didn't play in the Gold Cup, but like it is the last competitive competition before next year. To your point, they better win. It would be an absolute embarrassment if they don't make it out of the group stage and go a little ways in the World Cup next year. But it's some spicy comments coming out of the soccer world there.
If you want to text the show, you can 70470. Start your message with team. We got this from the 949. Fletch is listening to too much smut on Audible these days. He needs to keep both hands visible for the remainder of the broadcast.
Yeah, please do that. Yeah.
619. Am I listening to the man Fletch Zone? Flesh with an
no.
SH.
We need TD and Rich here.
Yep. 949. What's the over under on fights in the stands for Padres Dodgers series?
In
Honestly,
the stands,
it's going to be a high number. I wish it wasn't. Padre fans, don't start the fights.
Does it count the parking lot or no?
Yeah, dude, it's going to be bad. I honestly do think it's going to be bad, and it's unfortunate that since COVID, that's just become commonplace. But it sucks. It's a bad thing that we got going on here with all the fights. Just let's enjoy the baseball game. You can yell at each other. You can scream at each other.
Who gets hit first?
Look, I hate the Chiefs. Sammy hates the 49ers.
I don't hate the 49ers. I love the 49ers.
We like
it's a free win in the Super Bowl.
Oh my God. This is what I mean. But see, we're not going to punch each other in the face yet.
I mean, it's a 3-hour show, so there's time.
3-hour show today, baby. San Diego Sports 760. Take our first break of the day. Ryan Lindley coming up in 15 minutes to talk some Aztecs football. Coming up next, let's get into this Padres Dodgers series. Potential stuff on the field, not necessarily in the stands. That's next. San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. Thank you, Big Rich. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use promo code Fletch. When you do, you're going to get a $50 bonus in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. And right now, I just opened up my Prize Picks app, and it opened up to a screen that says your exclusive free baseball pick, Tariq Skubal at 0.5 strikeouts. All you got to do is pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player. Their stat projections like a Tariq Skubal half strikeout. That would be an easy more than. And you could win tons of money on Prize Picks. You can win up to 2,000 times your cash if you got the skills. And it all feels right now in the world that we got football coming back on our TVs. Preseason is here. College just around the corner. And then professional football just after that corner is the next one. Saquon Barkley, Justin Jefferson, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, all set to take the year by storm. And if you got the skills, you can win money just by picking more or less on 2 to 6 players. Their stat projections for every game this football season. You can win up to 2,000 times your cash. Prize Picks is my favorite daily fantasy sports app because of the promotions. Taco Tuesdays, where players get discounted all day long. Flex Fridays, where you get a free $20 entry. Prize Picks is the best. You can still double your money. Even if you don't win your lineup, if one of your picks misses, you could still double your cash. So what are you waiting for? Download the free Prize Picks app today. Use promo code Fletch to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. AM radio keeps vital voices accessible. Congress can secure its future, but we need your help. Text AM to 52886 right now to support keeping AM radio in cars. Tell your member of Congress to pass legislation now and keep AM radio in cars. Standard message and data rates do apply. Our buddy West saying Ryan Lindley, nice. Played against him in high school. West Hills versus El Capitan. They had an undefeated season. However, West Hills would have won despite 2 penalties. LOL. He's great for looking forward to the SDSU football season. Yeah, Ryan Lindley, who is the career leader in passing yards at San Diego State, is going to be jumping on the show at 12:30. He's now on the staff as a senior offensive assistant. Can't wait to chat with Ryan ahead of this season, ahead of FanFest tonight. And if you're heading out there, let me and Sammy know. We'll be out there for a little bit tonight. I would love to say hi to everybody who we possibly can. All right, a couple things here before we get to the Padres. Sammy, did you see CJ Stroud talking about Bryce Young?
You just told me about this, and this is a very interesting quote from him.
I know. I'm curious about it. So CJ Stroud was at his press availability in one of the training camp sessions. He's the quarterback for the Houston Texans. He basically said, we have seen a dog come out of Bryce Young that people haven't really seen before. And he's one of the best quarterbacks he's ever seen. Bryce Young revenge tour coming. Look, he was pretty nice at the end of last year.
I think he's going to have a nice season. Obviously, best quarterbacks I've ever seen is that's going too far. But yeah, I think in terms of the Panthers, we never really seen this from a situation. The Panthers are a unique situation because we've never seen a top pick get labeled as a bust. Rightfully so. People thought it was like, this guy can't do it.
He was a bust through his entire first season and half of his second.
Get benched at the beginning of the season, get thrust back into the lineup, play excellent to where they didn't draft the quarterback, even though they were towards the top of the draft class. And usually we've seen guys resurrect their careers. Your Sam Darnolds, your Geno Smiths, your guys like that, your Baker Mayfields, but they've always been with different teams. They've never been with the same team. So the Bryce Young kind of Carolina situation, I think, is going to be really interesting to watch in the upcoming year to see if he really builds on that, or is Carolina looking at a quarterback in the for the class next year.
And talking about another young quarterback, Michael Penix, who's out in Atlanta, looking like he's going to start this year. Sammy actually found this one. There's a local television affiliate out in Atlanta who was covering Michael Penix with an X, his first few days in the Atlanta training camp, first few games in the preseason, and they mislabeled his name on the little Chiron graphic on the TV.
Can we say that on the radio?
It was just Penix with an S instead of an X.
It's also it is a body part. It's not like it's
Michael Penix Jr. Just keep the way the E's pronounced the same, and I think you're all right.
Go check out the San Diego Sports 760 Twitter. I made sure to repost it and got a lot of love on there for you.
So it's all good. Was that an accident from an intern, or was that on purpose?
I think there's a lot of branding opportunities for him.
I think so too.
I think there's a lot. I think we should really tap into this. I mean,
Michael have some easy endorsements with I don't know, companies like Blue Chew.
Yeah, I mean he could exactly. I would be playing into that if my last name was that.
I like to think
and it's Pennis Jr. What about Senior?
What about him? Go ahead, Sammy. Follow the thought.
No, we're going to stop there before we get fired. I actually see our program director walking by right now.
Yeah, she gets it. All right, it's San Diego Sports 760. We do have Ryan Lindley coming up next. We were going to get into some Padres Dodgers here, but we got 3 hours today. So why don't we just save it for a little bit later on? Ryan Lindley, the all-time passing leader at San Diego State, the current senior offensive assistant at San Diego State, is going to be jumping on the show coming up next. It's San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app.
The sports sponsored by Anderson Plumbing, Heating, and Air. Padres are currently one game up on the Dodgers. If the Dodgers were swept by the Angels over the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, they'll be in Los Angeles tomorrow, taking on the Dodgers at 7:10. Michael King will be on the mound for the Padres, while Clayton Kershaw will be going for the Dodgers. And quarterback Jaden Denegal, the transfer from Michigan, has been named the starting quarterback at San Diego State for the upcoming season. Need HVAC this month? Get 0% for 18 months on a new system. Schedule your free proposal at AndersonPHA.com. Anderson, fast and reliable.
San Diego Sports 760, Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you today until 3 o'clock. John and Jim will take over then live from FanFest out at Snapdragon Stadium. By the way, if you don't have your tickets yet, go Aztecs.com. They are free, and you just got to pay for parking. You can take the whole family down to FanFest. Should be a good time tonight. Sammy and I are both planning on going out, and you can get your first look at the 2025-2026 Aztecs football program, which is sure to be a lot of fun this year. Jaden Denegal, just like Sammy just said, named the starter as of yesterday, and should be fun getting our first look at the Aztecs tonight. Hey, we all remember that one teacher who made a difference, who believed in us, who challenged us, or who just made learning fun. Well, now is your chance to say thank you in a big way with iHeartRadio's Thank a Teacher, powered by Donors Choose. Nominate your favorite teacher now at iHeartRadio.com/teachers, and they can win a $5,000 prize to fill up their classroom with whatever they need. But right now, let's make some room. We got the all-time passing leader at San Diego State on the phone. The senior offensive analyst for the Aztecs football team, Ryan Lindley, is here, and former teammate of Rich Ornberger in the NFL. But we won't hold that against you, Ryan. Welcome to the program, man. Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you. How are you today, Ryan?
I'm great, man. I was, you know, it's always a bittersweet thing. I was kind of fired up to see Rich, but I'm happy it's just you and me. You know, sometimes Rich's jokes get to be a little too much for me.
Yeah, and he talks a lot, doesn't he? We want to give you the spotlight here today, Ryan. But it's great to hear from you. How's everything going with the Aztecs football program ahead of fans getting their real first look at him tonight out at FanFest?
I think things have been good. You know, anytime you have fall camp and you feel too good, you probably aren't pushing the guys hard enough, you know? So it's been pretty back and forth. And, you know, the offense had their days, the defense had their days. And, you know, really here down the home stretch here in the third quarter, we like to call it, like we've had some really good competition and guys are playing well and hard. So really excited to see what we go out and do. Obviously going to be plenty of opportunities for guys, you know, from the top to bottom of those depth charts to go out and cut it loose today.
Jaden Denegal named the starter for the Aztecs. What do you think he brings to the offense at quarterback this year?
Yeah, JD's a really talented guy, man. I mean, you look at him; he looks like he could be playing small forward for Coach Dutcher across the hall. I mean, he's really athletic guy and really cerebral. I mean, obviously, you know, from an experience standpoint, not that he got in there a bunch at Michigan, but you could tell he sat in those quarterback rooms, quarterback meetings, and soaked up a lot. So I think, you know, just a matter of him continuing to get reps. And as he went throughout the spring and summer, you could just kind of tell he was our guy. You know, it's one of those things when it was announced yesterday, I don't think anybody was surprised, you know, including yourself. You put in the work and earned that respect from everybody in the building to go win us some ball games this fall.
Now, Ryan, we got to see Bert Emanuel last year when he was with Central Michigan, Bert Emanuel Jr., who is going to start off the season as the backup quarterback. And he is crazy athletic, pops off the screen, athletic. Is Bert still going to get some time in the Aztecs offense, or you think this is a one quarterback system with Jaden at the front?
You know, I think we're going forward, and JD's that guy. You know, obviously, yeah, you know, Bert's a heck of a player, and he pushed him. You know, there was a reason it took us this long to make that decision. He made some real strides as a passer, and you could tell he got a good feel for the offense as things got going. And one thing I got to say about BJ too, like Bert's a great leader. I mean, I think if you talk to the guys on the offense, it's a great scenario of like he's going to be a heck of a coach on the sideline with those guys too. You know what I mean? That's what you need out of your quarterback room. All guys that are bought in, guys that the whole team respects, and you know nobody's going to bat an eye if we need him to go win a game for us too.
Sean Lewis, obviously last year in his first year as the Aztecs head coach. You know, as a coach yourself, what do you see when you take over a program from year one to year two? Like, what is the biggest jump when you kind of have your guys in there this year versus last year?
You know, I'm going to answer with a caveat of like it's in today's college football, like it's not always the same guys year one to year two, but I think from a nucleus standpoint, the guys that we needed to bring back, we did. And obviously they provide a lot of leadership and they're seeing things at a really high level, but it's really kudos to guys like Jaden Denegal and, you know, other guys that we've brought in, you know, Caden Ellis, like guys like that, just like, hey, like they've come in and they've hit the ground running and really are playing fast. And that's the number one thing you always see in year 2 in the system is that guys play faster, and it's a lot more, there's a lot less thinking, a lot more doing. And that's when you watch our guys play right now. They're not thinking, they're not second guessing out there. They're just cutting it loose and playing hard.
Ryan Lindley, the all-time passing leader at San Diego State, the current senior offensive analyst for the program, getting ready for the 2025 Aztecs football season with us here on the home for San Diego State football, San Diego Sports 760. Ryan, when you look at the wide receiver room, one name is very familiar, and Aztec fans will remember the year that Jordan Napier had. But you look around the rest of it, and it's a little, okay, wait, where did he come from? He transferred him from where? Who has really stood out to you in fall camp from the wide receiver room that you think is going to be a big impact on this team?
You know, I almost want to leave that one to be a surprise because it's been fun every day. Someone's kind of taken their turn and stepped up and really had a day. You know, obviously, Jordan's the guy that did it for us at a high level last year, but, you know, and he's going to do some things. We definitely work to get him the football and get it in his hands. But I think it's such a more balanced group. And as a crew, they've all elevated each other's games, obviously, through competition. So, I'd be honest with you. I'd have to lean on Coach Sampson because any given day, it's tough to tell you who the top 3 guys that we're going to roll out there with. And right now, they're playing at such a high level and pushing each other that, you know, there are going to be a lot of guys that can go out there and make big plays for us on top of the defense.
Talking about the defense there, Trey White obviously back. What's the name on the defense though you think we aren't talking about enough that's going to surprise people a lot this year?
You know, yeah, obviously Trey's coming back, and you know, a local guy with a ton of recognition. You know, Tano Latui is another guy that obviously is in the middle of the defense playing Mike for us. You know, Chris Johnson's the other player coming back last year that, you know, had a good year, and I think wants to really finish off and cap off his Aztec career of being in amongst those names, of being really dominant in the secondary for us. So, you know, those 3 kind of they run the show and they lead from the front out there. And obviously, I think there's gonna be some guys as you look continue to develop and step up into some roles around them.
Let's talk about San Diego's favorite Cathedral Catholic High School alum, Lucky Sutton, who's going to be in the backfield for the San Diego State Aztecs this year. Obviously, Ryan, you've been here a few years here. Now, you've been part of every season Lucky Sutton has been a part of. But the freshman year, we start to get a lot of bursts from Lucky Sutton. We're seeing something, oh, my God, this kid's going to be special. Last year, Marquez Cooper was there. It didn't really leave much time for anybody else. This year, it feels like it's a year that Lucky could really take the spotlight and be someone huge on this Aztecs football team. How's his summer been? How's his training camp been? Is Lucky Sutton getting ready to hit the ground running?
Yeah, I think you can't pick out anybody that's been more definitive in their development, being in year 2, and the benefit of that than Lucky. Like, when you see him, and you mentioned, you know, he had some flashes 2 years ago because he was in the second year of a similar system here on campus. And I think he was developing as a runner and felt some things more naturally. Well, then for him going into his sophomore year, things get changed up and the system changes, you know, and sometimes it takes you time to adjust to that. You saw that last year. You know, obviously Marquez Cooper played a bunch of years with Coach Lewin in the system. So, you know, he took a brunt of the load for us. But it's been really fun to see how Lucky's obviously taken on that role and really just gone to work. You know, at no point is obviously he felt like this thing's been given to him and he's the next guy who's rightfully in the backfield. Like, he's just showed it day in and day out with how he carries the football, you know, and I think it's what everybody's seen and what everybody's loved about him as a hometown guy. And for me, it's a great example of a lot of the greats that have been on this campus and been on the Mesa. Like, hey, like first couple of years, you know, it's there, you see flashes of it, but it's got to bud at some point and blossom. And I think Lucky, it's time for him, and everybody will get to see it this fall. Kind of those glimpses that we've all know has been there for the last few years.
Can you speak to the culture of this year's team, maybe versus last year's team?
Yeah, you know, the number one word, and this is really, I'm taking it from our players, is I think culture is something that, you know, we can say what we want as coaches, but at the end of the day, it's what's in the locker room that really counts. And our players continue to bring up the word connected. And I think, you know, credit to Coach Lewis, like we've made a real point, obviously in this day and age with the transfer portal again, like you got a whole new set of players. You know, you probably got 30 new guys coming in January, and you got to get them acclimated. And I look back and, you know, back in my day, it was guys you'd hung out with on campus for the last 2.5, 3 years. And obviously you get really close with. Well, you got to build some of those relationships in a matter of 6 to 8 months. And, you know, we've been really intentional about the things we do with guys, whether it's kind of our non-football meetings where we get to know each other on a deeper level and other stuff where we just make sure, like, hey, when it hits the fan, which it naturally does in football, like our guys are going to be connected because they know and care about each other. So that's something I think just looking at our guys, I think they know each other on a deeper level in the locker room than they did a year ago. And I think it's going to show on the field when times get tough.
Year 2 of the Sean Lewis era, Ryan, at San Diego State. Sean Lewis comes in last year, and obviously it's a big change. It's very different from what Aztec fans are used to out of this program. There's a bigger emphasis on social media from even Sean, who's waking up and tweeting every morning. So with year 2 of Sean Lewis in the program, how have you seen his behavior so far leading into this year? Is he excited? Is he a little more up for this year now that it's his program in year 2?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, like everywhere you go, obviously you learn from the past year and you learn from the past. And I think the great thing is when we all got back to start this year off here in January, like we kind of said, hey, this thing's a climb and we got to make sure we build the foundation. And that's been one thing I've been really impressed. And obviously I take something from Coach Lewis every day, but like we've made sure that no stone's unturned. We're going to be focused on the details that make this a winning and championship program. And there's no steps you can take. There's no shortcut you can take and steps you can skip on that journey. It's a climb for us. So we talk about it's rung by rung, and it's going to be real fun to see our guys. Obviously, we're towards that fourth quarter, towards the fall of that climb, to where hey, we're actually going to see all the work that's been put in, all the foundation that's been built. It's going to turn to fruition here in a second.
You kind of talked about it a second ago about the transfer portal in not getting a bunch of time with these guys. Do you guys change the way you kind of do installs and things with transfer portal guys, or is it that haven't been in the system for the first couple of years, or is it just they just got to acclimate?
I think you got to acclimate, and the one benefit we've gotten, and I think I can speak to my tight end room and the guys that I work with. Like I got one guy in Seth Adams who's a fifth year graduate player, and he's seen 3 different offenses, so obviously he's got a level of experience and maturity that it's kind of picking it up and getting him to connect with that, to compare what he's done in the past. And then on the flip side, I got a guy in Jackson Ford who played 1 season at Tulsa, and he's almost like you're bringing in a freshman player. So he's kind of your clean slate, ball of clay that you can mold into what you want him to be. And I think that the number one thing when you come down to it, like I'm sure, there's different ways of teaching, obviously, and how we install and work with guys. But at the end of the day, it's just being really intentional with the time that we get to spend with them. Obviously there's legislations and rules on how much we get to keep them in the off season, but like how much those guys have obviously dived into film study, looking at what guys did last year. Sometimes that's learning from their mistakes, and sometimes it's looking at the example, but they've really dove into the offense and taken ownership of it as their own.
Ryan Lindley, senior offensive analyst at San Diego State, all-time passing leader in the program. Ryan, thank you for your time, man. Good luck tonight. Excited for people to get a look at this Aztecs team at the Fan Fest tonight. Can't wait for it. Congratulations on your career so far to this point, and good luck this year, Ryan. Appreciate you, man.
Absolutely. Appreciate you guys having me, and look forward to seeing everybody tonight.
All right. Can't wait for it. Fan Fest down at Snapdragon Stadium tonight. 7 o'clock is going to be kickoff of the game. Tickets are free. GoAztecs.com. You can still claim some and get out there. Support the boys. Our first look at the 2025-26 Aztecs football team. Looking forward to it, man. It's San Diego Sports 760. We'll take a quick break. The first long shots of the day is coming up next. It's San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. San Diego Sports 760. Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you till 3 o'clock today. Excuse me. John and Jim will take over then. Extra hour on our show today. John and Jim going to be out at FanFest from 3 to 7. So don't miss a second of that. Tickets available at goaztecs.com. Sammy, it's time for long shots. I think we're going to do 2 of these today. You were talking some schmack yesterday about me never doing one of these. I got one coming up at 2:45 today.
You think you can do better?
I think we're going head to head tonight. We'll see. It's not about being better or worse. It's about winning everybody some money.
I just want to say that. So we went 2 or 3 last night. On this show,
Pete Alonso, by the way.
Pete Alonso sold the bag for us. I am 8-0 betting tennis. I've never lost betting tennis.
You should just go 100% tennis then.
The WTA Cincinnati. We got the that's the tennis event going on right now.
Okay.
Next week we have the US Open, which we will be absolutely tapped into. But I mean, Pete Alonso, like you had to be selfish. You got your 253rd home run. You're the all-time home run leader for the Mets. You have to do it again last night. You have to get a couple big hits.
Yeah, in a losing effort too. They lost 11-6.
Yeah, it's like, dude, just lose. Like, it's disappointing that he didn't help out the San Diego audience.
So I'm not going to read it on air because it's a little not safe for work, but you can read it if you want to over on our YouTube at San Diego Sports 760. You can find it there. Lots of comments about Michael Penix and the little TV snafu that happened. Read these. I don't know if you can read the one from Paris. Might be a little on the nose.
Penix or Tyler says Penix should team up with Hartman for Blue Chew ad.
That's a great idea.
It's a great comment by Tyler. Paris is coming correct.
What is that? Is that a phrase that people say now?
I don't know. I don't really know what that means. Paris, explain yourself.
No, you explain yourself. What is coming correct? What does that mean?
What does coming correct mean?
Yeah,
you never heard it coming correct? Like you're it's solid. You came correct. You did it right.
So that's a new phrase?
You act like you're so old. You're like 29, dude.
Yeah.
You're just kind of out of touch. You're just like, I don't know. It's just you really need to. I think you need to leave the house a little bit more.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I like my house a lot. All right, it's San Diego Sports 760. We do something called Long Shots every day at 12:45, where Sammy makes us daily fantasy sports lineup for us to all win some money. Let's get right to it. Sammy, go ahead, smash that button.
Let's see. Underdogs? Nah, that's old. Those with a less than good chance of winning? Too wordy. Wait, he's all big time now, huh? It's time for Sammy's Long Shots. Hold on. Can't talk until I say the important stuff. Long Shots is presented by Circa Million and Circa Survivor. Now, go.
All right, Sammy. Where are we starting today?
We got 1 tennis. We got 2 baseball.
Limited
baseball slate to pick for today because Coach Kentera was right. He said it on our show last week. The MLB schedule with the not having Thursday games is very interesting, especially on the West Coast. But Tarek Skubal, we're going to go with one of the best pitchers, if not the best pitcher in the entire league. We're going to go more than 8 strikeouts. And he actually has been not hitting this number quite at the rate you would expect from a guy who is a Cy Young candidate. He had 6 against the Angels. He had 10 against the Phillies. Very impressive performance considering their lineup is lethal. 7 against Toronto. Very good team there in the AL. And then 11 against Texas. So we've kind of been seeing this thing where he goes every other game. He has an excellent strikeout performance. Well, he's due for a big one against Minnesota. I think he comes through. Tigers put on a clinic tonight. More than 8 pitcher strikeouts for Tarek Skubal. We're going to Washington, Philadelphia. Now, Philadelphia got blanked last night. The Nationals beat them 8-0. I do not expect that to happen again. Jesus Luzardo is pitching for the Philadelphia Phillies. We're going to go Bryce Harper, though, more than 1.5 total bases. I think the offense gets right tonight. I think they have a big performance. Don't love the pitcher on the mound going for the Nationals. And then we're going to go to tennis. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, I'm perfect betting tennis. We're going to go with my boy, Carlos Alcaraz, one of the most clutch players in the sport. Him and Sinner. We could be looking for a showdown at the U.S. Open here in a month. Carlos won the French Open. Yannick Sinner won Wimbledon. These two have been going back and forth, the 2 best tennis players in the world. He's playing. But Carlos Alcaraz tomorrow morning is playing Andrei Rublev at 8 a.m. We're going to go to the number of 22.5 games. So we're going to go less than for him. That means I think Carlos wins this in consecutive sets. As we saw, he opened the tournament. Actually going 24 total games. What you see this a lot. You see this a lot with tennis players. The opener, they're playing unranked opposition, kind of taking it a little bit lightly. Maybe the opposition comes out and tries to win the first set badly. It went to 24 in the first game or first match of the week, then 20, then 17. Carlos is locked in. When he's locked in, no one can handle his power on the tennis court. That's why it makes him and Sinner such a fantastic matchup when they do meet up, because Sinner's a very more finesse player, more about placing shots. Carlos is all power. So I think Carlos gets it done against Andrei Rublev, less than 22 and a half total games. Tarek Skubal going to go more than 8 pitcher strikeouts, and Bryce Harper gets on the board tonight at more than 1.5 total bases.
Sammy and I were talking before the show actually about the National League and how it's been shaken up here. I believe the Brewers are absolutely the number 1 team right now in the National League. They
won the entire city free burgers. You see that?
I didn't. What happened?
They won 12 straight games, and there was some promotion going on in Milwaukee.
Why don't we live in Milwaukee? That sounds awesome.
The whole city won like free burgers last night.
Although every time the Padres hit a home run, it's free Jumbo Jacks and Jack in the Box.
Did you see what? Well, the Panda Express had to go back on what they did with the Dodgers early on in the season.
What'd they say?
Because they had done a thing where when the Dodgers win, everyone in the city, I could butcher this, but everyone in the greater Los Angeles area got like a free Panda Express meal. I forgot what it was, and they were literally running out of them because it was every location was doing it. It also kind of went into Riverside and everything, so they had to stop the promotion.
Well, the Dodgers were just winning too much. It would be working fine now. These days, they're just getting swept by the Angels every week. But we were talking about the National League and kind of how it stacks up, and you putting Bryce Harper in your lineup makes me realize, I'm like, oh God, it's not just Padres Dodgers in the National League. Like, you kind of get in that mindset when you're going through and kind of living and dying with every game the Padres play. But you zoom out a little bit. Is everyone like the Brewers are filthy? They are so good, and they don't necessarily have that one big superstar, but it's a young team. They have the best record in the National League by far. And then the Phillies, like usually Kyle Schwarber is a really good regular season player and then an amazing postseason player. Kyle Schwarber's having himself an amazing year, and Bryce Harper, we all know here in San Diego what Bryce Harper does in the postseason. So it's kind of like, oh God, yeah, you're taking over the Dodgers right now in the National League West, but then you zoom out and look at the National League as a whole. There's some really, really good teams in the National League. This is going to be a brutal postseason.
That is the case. Like last year, it really did feel like whoever won the Padres-Dodgers series was going to go. Now, the Mets were streaking, and the Mets did give the Dodgers a bit of a series going 6 games. Excuse me. But the Padres, who would have known? I do think the Padres would have got past the Mets, but we will never know. Yeah, the NL is stacked this year. It does feel like, because the rivalry is Dodgers Padres. Obviously, down here it's a massive matchup. We live in the Southern California area, but I mean the Brewers are unreal. And you look at the roster and you're like, how are they doing this? Like there's not really that many stars. Yelich is the most recognizable name on that team, and he's not even the best player on the team. It's like Jackson Churio and guys like this who are really getting it done. The Phillies are a team I would not want to play if I was any team in the NL, because they have the ability to match anyone's star power in Schwarber, Harper, Trey Turner, all those guys. And then they got Duran at the deadline from the Twins. That was the one thing they needed, was a closer. They did not have it the first half. They blew multiple games into save. The Cubs are kind of the odd team out. It feels like the Cubs were the sexy World Series pick early on in the year, and then them not doing anything at the deadline really kind of took them back. Their bullpen is not up to snuff in a tough NL. And then the Mets are kind of flailing right now. But again, that's a team with a lot of stars that could be hell. You could make a case for about 6 teams in the NL right now to go to the World Series, and people would not call you crazy. Like MGM just had their betting odds. The Dodgers are plus 310. Phillies are plus 600. The Brewers, even though they got the best record in baseball, at plus 850. Then there's 4 AL teams, and the Padres at plus 1200, and the Cubs behind them at plus 1600. So listen, if you like a team to go to the World Series, I placed your bets in on now, because there's some good odds for all these teams.
Brewers have won 12 straight games. They got a run differential on the year of plus 159. They are just bludgeoning teams on their way to this 12-game winning streak. Cubs, like you mentioned, they've been flailing since the deadline. They're 4-6 over their last 10. Blue Jays have been hot all year long. They're at 70 wins on the year already. Only 2 teams over 70 wins, the Brewers and the Blue Jays. Phillies have won 7 of their last 10. They are 69-51 on the year, just half game up on the Padres. Cubs 68-51 on the year. So the National League is absolutely stacked. And then in the American League, it's like the Blue Jays, the Tigers, who are having an amazing season, and the Mariners, who have been the top of the AL.
Every team feels like they have a flaw in the AL. It's like the Blue Jays are probably the most complete team. The Mariners have the bats. The Tigers have the pitching, but do the Tigers really have the bats to go to the World Series? And then Of course, the Astros are always kind of hanging there. And then if the Yankees get healthy with Judge, even though they're totally flailing right now, it's going to be a really fun MLB postseason.
Can't wait for it, man. Just a couple months away now. It's San Diego Sports 760. Hour number 2 is coming up next. Coach Kentera is coming up in hour number 2. We'll talk some Padres and baseball with him. It's San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app.
Guys, do you like to win money? I know I do. At Circa Million and Circa Survivor, I've been telling you about this for weeks now. You can win up to $21 million in guaranteed prizes for both. The entries open May 23rd. They close September 6th at 2 p.m. So you got to get out to Vegas. It's the perfect excuse to plan your Vegas trip. You get to convince the wife, the family, the friends, whatever you want to do. Head out to Vegas. This is the same thing as investing. This is smart investing because you actually know what you're doing, unlike following someone on some network that you have no idea what's going on the stock market. Weekly picks can be made through a proxy. So even if you don't live in Nevada, you can play from anywhere. But let me tell you about them first. Circa Survivor, you pick one game each week. You don't have to worry about spreads. You have to worry about point totals, no player props, any of that. You just need that team to win. Once you pick a team, you cannot play them again later that season. All you got to do is go 18-0 or outlast the competition. It's $1,000 per entry, so you can get 10 of your friends going $100 a pop, or going the 1,000 yourself. And then you got Circa Million. If you're more of, I don't want to risk on one team each week, that seems stressful to me, play Circa Million. That's where you pick 5 games against the spread each week. If you think you know more than the sports books, you can get it over a full season. You can win up to $15 million in prizes. Play your money now and win your money now with Circa. The sport is sponsored by Allstate. The Padres, Dodgers getting going tomorrow for a 3-game set. The Padres have a 1-game lead over the Dodgers in the NL West. Clayton Kershaw will be going for the Dodgers, while Michael King will be going for the Padres. And Rashid Rice's hearing has been sentenced to September 30th, so he will be able to play the first 4 games of the season following the car crash way back in January of 2024. Some people just know you can save money on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Those people are probably saving a carload of cash right now. So what are you waiting for? Check Allstate first for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate.
At San Diego Sports 760, hour number 2 here on the Fletch Zone. Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you till 3 o'clock today. John and Jim will take over then. John and Jim going to be broadcasting live from Snapdragon Stadium at Aztecs Fan Fest, getting you ready for the 2025 college football season for the San Diego State Aztecs, who yesterday named their starting quarterback, Jaden Denegal, who's going to be leading the way for the Aztecs this year. We talked with Ryan Lindley about an hour ago now, who is a senior offensive analyst on the staff for Aztecs football. And I'm excited, man. College football is going to be a ton of fun. Can't wait to go check it out tonight at Snapdragon Stadium, see the sights and sounds and the smells of football being back. I know something we're all excited about here in San Diego. Before we get to the big 3 of hour number 2, did want to stop off and talk some Padres for a second, as they are heading into a massive series with the Los Angeles Dodgers. And the pitching matchups are interesting ones, because do we all realize Blake Snell, Dylan Cease is going to be the Saturday game? That's a fun one, man, for Dylan Cease, who came over to the Padres after Blake Snell left the team. Blake Snell, who certainly had an up and down career with the Padres. There were times where everyone was head over heels in love with Blake Snell. And then a lot of people in San Diego fell the opposite way with him, because simply just watching him pitch was a challenge, because he would take his time. He would throw a ton of pitches. Blake Snell games were always confusing games to watch as a Padres fan. And Dylan Cease has been as up and down as Blake Snell was. But Dylan Cease coming off the 2 best starts of his year, without a doubt, going into his 3rd, and it being against the Dodgers. There are just storylines all over the place with this series coming up, not to mention the fact that first place is on the line in the National League West, and the Padres just overtook the Dodgers. And Sammy said this before the show, and I think he's spot on. It's a weird spot for the Padres, who actually feel like they have more pressure going in as the number 1 seed in this weekend matchup than the Dodgers do.
Well, that's what I'm excited for. So you've seen the Dodgers have the 8.5 game lead, 9-game lead, and that's completely evaporated. And you listen to our sister station AM 570, and it feels like there's a massive panic going on in Los Angeles, which it should, because the team, there's kind of been this constant narrative of they're going to get healthy. They're going to get healthy. And yes, there are still a lot of injured pitchers and players on this team. Max Muncy, we'll see if he's available to go this weekend against the Padres. But at some point, the team has just been struggling. And at some point, you can't just keep falling back on that they're injured. They're injured. This team has not. The Dodgers have not put it together to where the bats, the starting pitching, and bullpen have all kind of aligned, and they haven't. And the Padres have certainly overtaken it and been playing really solid baseball, going 13-3 since that trade deadline. But it is interesting. So there's been a lot of chirping all week, and it's great. It's awesome seeing that it's competitive now. The Padres have a 1-game lead, but you want to go make it hurt, you go beat them in Los Angeles, because let's also remember, I think something that has been forgotten is, even though the games were played 3 months ago, the Dodgers are 5-2 against the Padres. And for the Padres to have a tiebreaker, which we fully expect this to come down to the wire, whether it's the Padres or Dodgers, I think this is going to be a super tight division race to the end, regardless of what happens over the next 2 weekends. The Padres have to go 5-1 to get a tiebreaker over the Dodgers. So you want to really go put some pressure on, you go get a sweep, or you'll get 2 or 3 this weekend in LA. And after the amount of momentum, after the free falling that's happened with the Padres or with the Dodgers, that's something that's really going to put a lot of pressure. If the Padres go up the road and put on a clunker against the Dodgers, people are going to throw it back in their back in the Padres' face of like, see, this is the same kind of thing. But it's like the Padres have all the tools to go take advantage of the Dodgers. Go do it.
Jim Russell had a great tweet out yesterday, I believe. It was right after the Dodgers had lost. And Jim Russell, who I'm going to give a lot of credit to here, said, I bet Dave Roberts cannot wait to try and start S this weekend with the Padres to wake up his team. That's something you got to be ready for. Dodgers have kind of been flailing since 2 weeks before the trade deadline. They have not been the same team. There was a point this year where they had a 10-game lead on the division. That's not the case anymore. Obviously, they're number 2 in the division. But Jim's right. This is something that Dave Roberts would like to take advantage of here, try to wake up his team a little bit, wake up the offense a little bit, and try to get the Dodgers kicking on the right track. We did get a text from the 619 I wanted to read. Says, you don't have to read this on the show, but Sammy has come a long way since he was a radio noob. His improvement in such a short amount of time is impressive. Fletch, you are a stud too. Sammy, do you realize the 619 says you sucked when you first started?
619, I appreciate it. Yes, had to get comfortable on the mic a little bit, but I really appreciate that text. It means a lot.
Sammy's doing a great job. We love him here at San Diego Sports 760, and I love that last part of your text where you say, Fletch, you're a stud too.
Fletch is a stud too, baby.
Oh, I'm just a stud, man.
Look at him popping those biceps, getting ready for Vegas.
Sammy, let's hit the big three. Smash that button. Oh, I went way too fast on that. That's my fault. You know, it was premature.
Your lunch break is here.
With.
Ready to go back to the office and knock the socks off your friends? I mean, coworkers? It's time for the top stories of the day. The Big Three.
Just so fast. If you want to watch the show, you can. There's a few ways for you to do it. On X, at Fletch and Sammy. Give us a follow there. We'd love to see it. We'll follow you back right away. And on YouTube, at San Diego Sports 760. Sammy, where are we kicking off hour number 2?
So the NBA schedule just got released today for the full season. Kevin Durant, this happened a little bit earlier last week, wanted to get to it. Kevin Durant was chirping with Thunder fans online. So the Rockets are going to open the season in Oklahoma City, taking on the Thunder. Kevin Durant was chirping Thunder fans, telling them about time that they won a ring, and then went on a whole tirade about how he likes to troll people and it's part of his fun. But was getting in heated arguments with all of these fans. Do you have any reaction to the fact that Adam Silver stuck Kevin Durant in the place where he couldn't win a title and had to leave to go win one in his first game in a Rockets uniform?
That is kind of awesome for Adam Silver, who I don't give a ton of credit to on a lot of things. He nailed this one. It's all about drumming up storylines, especially for NBA, whose season's way too long. And then their offseason, I think, is way too short. Like, we're already about to be back to NBA time, it feels like. Here's the thing. Kevin Durant always kind of complains, whether it's outwardly or you just know what's going on. Kevin Durant seems to want to be on all the top 10 lists, on all the GOAT conversations. Like, Kevin Durant would like to be a part of all those. He's already the GOAT of something. He is the most annoying NBA great I've ever seen in my life. KD, the shtick is over, man. Look, when he came to the Warriors, I quite literally stopped being a Warriors fan because Kevin Durant annoys the crap out of me. So go do what you got to do. Tweet what you got to tweet. Be on Instagram on 5 different accounts and just stop it, dude. OKC got the championship and they did it with homegrown talent. Can we stop it with the taking jabs at people?
Right. Well, that's what's got to hurt is Oklahoma City got it done in a place where
and they did it the right way.
Yeah, they grew all their players. You got to give Sam Presti a ton of credit. I mean, what he's been able to do by stockpiling draft picks in a sport where a lot of people devalue draft picks. They go, it's all about the proven players that are just trying to load up on picks unless you're in the top, 10. A lot of these guys aren't playing.
Like, don't forget, when they brought Shai Gilgeous-Alexander over in trade, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was nothing. He was a throw-in in that trade. They developed him as if they would have drafted him.
Right. It was the trade was about Paul George. The trade was the Clippers got Paul George. They team up with Kawhi. They're going for a championship, and obviously it worked out the complete other way. Kevin Durant, you said something there I thought was true. Kevin Durant doesn't realize. In Kevin Durant's mind, I think he thinks, well, I'm an all-time great. I'm an all-time scorer. If you were like, my life depends on it, I'm giving the ball to one player all time, and I need you to score in a one-on-one, you would consider Kevin Durant. So he doesn't get why he gets his criticism. But the fact that you are one of the most unique talents and that you're that tall but that lanky and can dribble the ball and can shoot and has one of the best ISO games there is in the sport, the fact that you only have 2 rings, you had to go join the team that you couldn't beat when you were with Oklahoma City to do it, and then you make a big stink about how you want to go somewhere else. It doesn't work in Brooklyn. It doesn't work in Phoenix. Now you get what you wanted. You get out to Houston. Houston's kind of a sexy pick to go win the whole thing next year. It's like at some point, if you want to talk about yourself as the GOAT, which Kevin Durant has said, he doesn't understand why he's not in the GOAT conversation. You have to go win a title by yourself. I thought it was fun that Adam Silver put this on there. We're opening night. He's going to have to watch the ring ceremony. Let's head to the NFL. Kyler Murray, interesting quote out of Cardinals camp, said everybody's ready for us to, quote, take the next step. What NFL team is not getting enough love heading into next season?
Dude, I honestly think the Panthers are not getting enough love. I think that they could be a sneaky team. I'm not saying it's a playoff team or something, but the Panthers are going to make a jump this year, and I think a lot of it is because of Bryce Young. The way he finished last season should have Panther fans at the very least excited. I cannot believe these words are leaving my mouth. The Kansas City Chiefs are not getting enough love heading into this year. I get it, man, but Mahomes being at 4th place on the MVP odds, I want money on that. I think he's at like plus 700 right now. Do we all not realize this was the formula for the New England Patriots on the dynasty? Everybody would throw shade at the Patriots, saying it's not that good of a roster, and Tom Brady would just put it in his back pocket and say, well, watch this, effers. You're telling me Patrick Mahomes has none of that going into this year? All we've done is give the Chiefs bulletin board material. Sammy, you almost probably don't even need to talk because I bet you this is what you were going to say. The Kansas City Chiefs have not gotten enough love this offseason.
I appreciate that.
You're welcome. God,
I was not going to go with the Chiefs, actually.
That's out of my mouth. It's gone. It's done. I will never say it again, but it's the right answer.
I think it's fair, and this is not me being a homer. I think everyone, and I get it though. I understand as if I was not a Chiefs fan, growing up a Chiefs fan, I wouldn't like the Chiefs either. I didn't like New England. I rooted against them every year and said it was at their time to fall. So I get it. Everyone wants the Ravens. Everyone wants the Bills. Whoever it is. I think the Chiefs are being massively overlooked this year, but we'll see that come football season. I'm going to go stick in the AFC, though. I really firmly believe the Jacksonville Jaguars, and not in terms of a team that can go win a Super Bowl, but I think this offense can be high-flying. Trevor Lawrence, let's not forget, a couple years ago, him and Justin Herbert have had a similar kind of career path in that they both, coming out, had so much love, had a lot of success earlier. People are like, these are the next two top big-time quarterbacks that we're going to talk about, along with Mahomes, along with Josh Allen, along with Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow. But this team, everyone's kind of gone out on this team. Like 2 years ago, just like Houston last year was kind of the sexy dark horse Super Bowl pick, I kind of fell in love with the Jags after they came back on the Chargers, barely lost to the Chiefs in Kansas City, and then it kind of fell out from under them. I think they actually got it right getting Travis Hunter, Brian Thomas Jr. They have been able to draft well. I don't know about the defense, but I do think that this team is going to be lethal in terms of the offense. I think we're going to see a massive resurrection of a season from Trevor Lawrence. I do think Justin Herbert will have a good season, but losing Rashawn Slater, massive blow to the Chargers.
Can I please take everything I just said out of my mouth and just bring it right back? Because as I was saying it up on the TV, this is the reason why people hate Chiefs fans. Nick Wright, Colin Cowherd is sadly stricken by Chiefs derangement syndrome. Why do you always try to use big words to make it clear that everybody hating on the Chiefs is
because
stupid?
Nick Wright likes to give himself a word every day in the dictionary to use.
We all know that the Chiefs are great. We all know that Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the world, but the way you guys get so defensive about it, and you have to be like, oh, well, the Bills suck because they've never beat us in the postseason. It's nauseating.
The Bills don't suck. It's just the fact that they have it. Now, let's go to golf for our
just
third.
Threw a water bottle across the room because it makes me so mad.
Third story. BMW Championship golf, kind of a fun tournament here. The BMW Championship, the goal is to be in the top 30. Everyone's trying to qualify for that Ryder Cup to be a team captain and be in the top 6 for your country. Scotty Scheffler entered the day as a plus 250 favorite. The next favorite was Rory at plus 700. Tommy Fleetwood is checking in at plus 1,000. Taking Scotty, you taking the field, Fletch?
Well, Scotty started off on fire today, throwing darts, and then he's
currently -1.
Yeah, he's 1 under now. He was 2 under on the front 9, and then he's played a couple holes in the tournament. Actually, just got delayed because of rain. But Scotty was on fire to start the day, and now through 14, he's at 1 under par. I'm still going to be taking Scotty versus the field because that's the smart bet to play. However, I would love to see someone else get it done. Ricky Fowler had a really nice opening round today. He's at 2 under par, tied for the lead. Victor Hovland is up there. Here's the good news for golf fans. Long tournament, 3 more days to go, and half of today's action once it gets back up and going. The leaderboard is already looking really nice. And this is the week before the FedEx Cup Championship, which is the biggest money of the season, which is
20
quote
mil.
unquote next week is even more than that, I think. But it's the Super Bowl of golf, which is the Masters, but this is like the end of their season. And then we get Ryder Cup action. The good news is the names you want to see near the top are near the top in the last 2 weeks of the PGA Tour season. And that's going to make for a fun couple of weeks.
We're kind of talking about this on Monday. I think what's been fun with golf is it's fun watching Scotty play. Obviously, Rory, DeChambeau, you have all your big names that the casual, maybe not diehard golf fan knows. We're starting to see other names pop up. JJ Spawn was a guy who last year, San Diego State kid, no one had on their bingo cards that was going to become a legit player.
He was ready to quit golf.
He's ready to quit golf. He is becoming a legit name. He finished second last week. He won the U.S. Open. Now you got Tommy Fleetwood, the storyline of this guy's always in the top 3. He's always in the top 5, and he can't win.
Poor Tommy. He's got great hair. Feel bad for him.
He's a guy you pull for. I mean, it feels like golf is starting to have some other names pop up, and it's fun because – yes, it's fun to watch someone dominate, and Scotty is still dominating the field, and he's week in, week out the favorite. but it's fun when you start to see some kind of adversaries. Tiger needed Phil. You have to have Mayweather needed Pacquiao. You always need someone to kind of play the villain role. And it's fun that some of these guys are kind of coming up as a challenge where it's not just Scotty run away with everything every weekend.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. Coming up in 15 minutes, we got Coach. The Coach Kentera is jumping on the show. We'll talk some Padres, Dodgers with the coach. Coming up next, let's rank some wide receivers, baby. It's that time of the day. We are 20 days out from the NFL season. We did running backs yesterday. Let's start the conversation on wide receivers today that we will finish coming up in hour number 3 of the show. It's San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. Our iHeartRadio Music Festival is back. Live performances from Bryan Adams, Ed Sheeran, Mariah Carey, Maroon 5, Sammy Hagar, The Offspring, Tim McGraw, and more September 19th and 20th at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. 2 nights, 1 stage. Buy tickets now at AXS.com. Get them now before they sell out. And while the world is listening for free on iHeartRadio, you could be there. 3 chances every weekday for you to win your trip for 2, plus $1,000 spending cash. Next chance to text and win happens at 5 o'clock right here on San Diego Sports 760. Get all the info at sportssd.com/festival. Sammy, we really didn't get into it in hour 1, but the Padres, we kind of chased the fun object, which is they're now number 1 in the NL West, but they put the beat down on the Giants yesterday. My God, 11-1. Giants never had a shot in this thing. It all kind of opened up right away when Jake Cronenworth hit a ball off of second base that bounced way up into the air and scored a bunch of runs. And then the Padres just did not stop. Impressive showing for the boys yesterday.
Completely. And we were talking about it earlier this week. It's like who's gonna take their series more seriously, because we're looking at a trap series, talking about football, a trap game. And you got to give the Padres a lot of credit. I mean, they took an NL West opponent who that had the makings of a series that the Padres were going to trip up over. You're facing an NL West opponent that's been flailing, that you're looking at and going, they can't hit the ball, but then take them lightly and lose a couple games. They absolutely mauled them. They jumped all over them. You got to give the back end of the lineup a lot of credit. And then the Dodgers, on the other hand, completely look like they took the Angels lightly. And I don't know why they would do that, because the Angels swept them earlier on in the year in a 4-game set. And now the Padres are atop the division. So it sets up for a massive showdown this weekend. Super excited. Cannot wait for the series to get going tomorrow.
This is going to be fun, man. I'm excited about it. All right, let's talk some NFL wide receivers. We'll give our official top 5s coming up in hour number 3 of the show. Sammy, can you believe this? They're asking us to do a whole nother hour. Is what we would say if we were John and Jim, but we're stoked about it here on the Fletch Zone.
John and Jim are always complaining. They were like, you're going to do another hour today. We're like, hell yeah.
Bring it on. We got some NFL to talk. We're 20 days out. We got some Padres Dodgers to talk. This is the best time of year for sports. But some wide receivers that changed locations, I think, are kind of fun to talk about here. Like DK Metcalf is a Steeler heading into this year with Aaron Rodgers as his quarterback. Cooper Kupp is a Seattle Seahawk this year with Sam Darnold.
That seems so odd to me.
Doesn't it seem weird? How about Devontae Adams is no longer a Packer or a Jet? No, he's a Ram. There are going to be some wide receivers in new places, new names and new places that just seem awkward, but I think all of them are going to have huge impacts on their team this year. Even a George Pickens to Dallas. Is there a better talent-wise wide receiver combo than CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens? But they're both kind of head cases. How's it going to work? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, outside of Cincinnati with their duo, yeah, I mean, in terms of
just pure talent,
right? Pickens, if you take away the fact that he's kind of a head case, he's unbelievable. I mean, as a number 2, you're looking at he
might have the best hands in football.
And this is the Cowboys. It is so interesting this year because, like, Dak Prescott, like, to be fair to Dallas, it's easy to bag on Dallas. It's easy to, because, you know, a lot of the fans are obnoxious and everything, but they did season get derailed by injury last year. Trayvon Diggs and Dak Prescott go down. Your second best player on defense and your quarterback on offense goes down. They have all the tools. I do worry about the fact that they don't really have a running game. They drafted a kid late in the draft this year that they're hoping to pop, but like, I mean, George Pickens, if his head's on straight, he could go off for a massive performance this year. And then, like, even you mentioned DK Metcalf, Aaron Rodgers. Can Aaron Rodgers get the ball to him? All reports out of camps that Aaron Rodgers is fantastic. But are we going to see another thing where, let's not forget, at the end of the Packers run, with the Jets run, he could not get Garrett Wilson involved. He couldn't get some of the top Packers receivers involved. Is he going to be able to sign? Because trust me, Steeler fans are not going to be okay if the guy they just paid $180 million to or something like that is not getting the ball.
So across all football analysts, I think me and Sammy, the top 2 wide receivers in football are going to be the same. You might be able to flip-flop them, but I think Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson are the top 2 receivers in all of football heading into next year. But once you get to number 3 through 7, that's where it gets pretty interesting, because you can make an argument about a Puka Nacua. You can make an argument about a CeeDee Lamb. You could talk about, hell, some of the young guys, the Malik Neighbors, or who's the guy in Jacksonville? I always forget his name.
Brian Thomas Jr.
Brian Thomas Jr. You could start talking about those guys and see them sneaking into the list. Nico Collins out in Houston, who's as physical as it comes as a wide receiver. But that's where it starts to get really fun. How about Amon-Ra St. Brown in Detroit? Jamison Williams in Detroit. This year is going to be an explosion of wide receiver talent. We had a texter the other day that said there are so many wide receivers who are right underneath that tier 1 that if you get one of those tier 1 guys in fantasy football, great. But then just wait, because there is a huge group of wide receivers who are all going to be really, really talented heading into this year. I'm excited to get to see it. I really am.
We got Coach Kentera coming up next, but send us your top 5 list, 70470. Start your message with team. We're going to get to it later on the show.
I'm honestly more intrigued by top 2 through 7 list. Like, just take Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson out of it. Who do you have right after that?
The only I would have those two as the top. I think you could argue CD could slide in there. That's the only guy I think you could argue. If someone had them at 2, I wouldn't.
And if Matthew Stafford's the quarterback, I think you might be able to put Puka Nacua into that conversation. They just have such a great connection. All right, Coach Kentera is coming up next. Let's talk some Padres Dodgers with the coach and talk about this win streak the Padres are on. What is it? 14 out of their last 17 now have been wins for the Padres. Pretty incredible. San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app.
This sport is sponsored by Allstate. Padres Dodgers get going tomorrow with Michael King going for the Padres, while Clayton Kershaw will be going for the Dodgers. That game will be going at 7:10 for a 3-game set. Padres are currently 1 game up on the Dodgers in the NL West. And star wide receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs, Rashee Rice, is sentenced to his hearing for his car crash. His speeding in early 2024 has been set as September 30th. People thought he'd be suspended for the first part of the season. He will be able to play the first 4 games, that opener in Brazil against the Chargers. Some people just know you could save money on car insurance by checking Allstate First. Those people are probably saving a carload of cash right now. So what are you waiting for? Check Allstate First for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate.
San Diego Sports 760. Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you till 3 o'clock today. Got an extra hour on us today. John and Jim going to be broadcasting live from Snapdragon Stadium from 3 to 7 tonight. Don't want to miss that for Aztecs Fan Fest down at Snapdragon. But right now, every Thursday, we do it at this time. We bring on the coach, Coach Kentera, joining the show. Find him on YouTube at San Diego Sports Talk. Coach, how are we doing on this Thursday?
Well, I'm doing a lot better than Dave Roberts and the Dodgers are on this beautiful Thursday. I can tell you that.
It's pretty fun, right? Being number one in the National League West, the Padres have done a hell of a job, especially over the last 20 games or so. And the Dodgers just cannot seem to figure out those pesky Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Pretty cool to see your Padres up top, Coach, isn't it?
Well, it certainly is. And they're playing great baseball, Fletch. I mean, you know, I watched, to be honest with you, I probably watched more of the Dodger Angel series than I did the Padres San Francisco series. Padres pretty much took care of business early in the ballgame, so I focused in on the Dodgers Angels. And then, of course, yesterday the Padres won early, and so I watched the entire Padre game, and then I tuned in last night and watched Ohtani throw pretty well until he got to the fifth inning. He kind of ran out of gas, but, you know, he made some good pitches, and, you know, Dodgers looked like they were going to maybe win one. They were up 5-2, but once again, their bullpen let them down. And, you know, I'm looking at this Dodger ball club right now, and I'm just seeing leaks all over the place. I mean, their starting rotation actually in the month of August has been really pretty good. The problem is they're going 5 innings, and they've got to get more out of their starting pitching if they want to, you know, get to where they want to go. Because right now their bullpen is being overused. It's been ineffective. You got 4 bullpen guys on the IL right now, and a 5th guy, Gratterall, probably not coming back. You saw Brock Stewart go on the IL yesterday. He's going to be out 2 weeks with a right shoulder inflammation, and they just got him from the Twins. Tommy Edmonds trying to get back. Muncy last night was in the original starting lineup, apparently, and Mookie Betts was going to sit out, and Muncy tweaked something during batting practice in the cage, so he opted out. They were going to do tests on him. So the Dodger ball club, they're banged up right now, but they're certainly not out of it with their starting pitching. But the Padres, on the other hand, if you watch the two teams play as closely as I have the last week, there's just a big difference right now in the intensity with which the Padres are playing. I think bringing in a guy like Ramon Laureano and Freddie Fermin, two pretty baseball savvy guys. You know, I watched Laureano, and I don't want to say he plays angry, but he does play with an edge, and I think Fermin does as well. And Ryan O'Hearn's starting to get a little more playing time now, and he kind of got off to a slow start. But, you know, bringing a little bit different, I think, intensity to that Padre clubhouse and out onto the field certainly hasn't hurt this Padre ball club.
Coach, both teams seem to be, you know, missing some of their best pitchers maybe this weekend. Dodgers not having Yamamoto or Ohtani, and the Padres not having Pivetta. I don't know if you're familiar with the pitching matchups. Michael King, Kershaw Friday night, Snell, Cease on Saturday, and Darvish, Glasnow on Sunday. What matchup are you most excited to watch?
Well, you know, Sammy, I'm always enjoy watching Kershaw pitch. I mean, he's had, you know, and everybody talks, he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's probably as good a pitcher that I can think of in, you know, the last 30 years. I mean, when you talk about left-handers, you think about the big unit, Randy Johnson. We saw him pitch many a game against the Padres. I think of Steve Carlton, who's one of the great left-handers of all time. And, of course, Sandy Koufax. I was pretty young when Sandy was pitching, but I do remember him pitch, especially in those World Series games against Minnesota and against the Baltimore Orioles. Of course, he retired very prematurely because of an arthritic elbow. But Kershaw's right up there. Right now, he's got the greatest ERA of any pitcher during the live ball era since 1900. He's got the best ERA of anybody. And, you know, he's not the same pitcher. He's throwing 89, 91, throwing that slider, throwing the curveball, occasionally mixing in even a split these days. Adding, subtracting. He knows how to pitch in and out, but you can get to him. He's having to work a little bit harder than he has in the past. And again, he doesn't have that 96, 97 mile an hour fastball he can throw by you. But I always enjoy it. And I'm kind of anxious to see Michael King tomorrow night. I mean, we saw him last weekend, and quite frankly, he wasn't very good. He went 2 innings and went 1 batter in the 3rd inning. His pitch count was way high. It only had 1 rehab start, and those numbers, you always take that with a grain of salt at AAA. They weren't very good. So maybe they rushed him back a little bit early. So, tomorrow night will be very interesting. It'll be, I think, very interesting how Dave Roberts is going to manage. And I think Mike Schild has already shown that, he'll pull his starter in a moment's notice. And, of course, he's got a lot of weapons down there right now. And you look at the guys they didn't have to use the last couple of days in San Francisco, one of them being Mason Miller, Jason Adam. I mean, those guys are well rested. They're going to be ready to roll tomorrow night. And, the big thing when you go into Dodger Stadium, you can't let your emotions get too run away. I mean, everybody comes into Dodger Stadium wanting to beat the Dodgers. We know that. It's a different animal up there with 50-something thousand people going crazy. And but the Padres have performed very well over the last few years up at Dodger Stadium. And it's going to be a great weekend. I'm looking forward to all the matchups, but the one tomorrow night could really set the tone, I think, for the entire series. Kershaw against King, and then what bullpens can step up and get the job done.
The coach, John Kentera, on with us today here on San Diego Sports 760. You can find Coach on YouTube at San Diego Sports Talk. Coach, I am curious, now that we're a few weeks out from it, at the trade deadline, obviously tons of moves were made. So is it Freddie Fermin, who's really assimilated nicely with the pitching staff and has proven himself at the plate as well as a hitter? Is it Laureano, who always seems to be on base, always score and run for these Padres? Mason Miller, who outside of one appearance has been really just nails for the Padres, throwing up to 104 miles per hour on a regular basis? Or Nestor Cortez, who's been a really nice addition to this pitching staff? What is your favorite move that AJ Preller has made at this trade deadline? Or maybe your favorite move he didn't make with Dylan Cease staying and looking a lot better since the trade deadline?
Well, Cease has always had great stuff. I mean, it's more getting him to pitch rather than throw. But, I want to go back and I want to talk about Fermin. When that trade was announced and you guys had me on, I was just thrilled to get this guy. This guy I had been watching for 3 years. When I saw him play in San Diego a few years back with the Royals, I've been kind of keeping my tabs on him. And he was playing behind a guy that's going to be in the Hall of Fame. Some that say he kind of got roadblocked, but he was catching more this year. Casal Perez is, on the downside of his career. But not only did you get him, and you're going to have him under control, like you're going to have Mason Miller, Laureano you can bring back, I think, again next year. Ryan O'Hearn's going to be a free agent. But having that catcher going into the offseason, knowing that Freddie Fermin will be under contract for a few more years until like 2028, that takes a tremendous burden off of A.J. Preller having to go and beat the bushes this winter to look for a guy that can, catch 4 to 5 games a week. And it'll be interesting to see how much they use him because he's not used to playing as much as he's playing here in San Diego. But since he's come over, he's hit about 353. And Laureano's hitting 333 right now. O'Hearn's hitting in the 180s in a Padre uniform, but that's going to get better. I just think all these trades made so much sense. And you mentioned Mason Miller. He had that 2-run homer he gave up to Lourdes Gurriel Jr. Well, you know what? I'll tip my cap to Gurriel Jr. He had a fastball out that was 103.9 miles per hour. So we'll tip our cap on that one. But, you got another guy down in AAA, J.P. Sears, probably trying to do some things right now to rework some things from what Ruben Niebla and Schultz saw. And I'm sure they've got him working on some things right now. And who knows, down the stretch, he may come up and make a critical start or two. We don't know. I mean, but one thing the Padres have now, they have some depth in their starting pitching. Kyle Hart, who's been like Warren Spahn pitching at home, hadn't been as good on the road, but he's down there working right now. And you never know when one of these guys may be thrust into a starting role where they come up, they start, and they go back down to the minor leagues. But we got some guys down there that can help you right now.
Coach, you're so tapped into the entire, MLB. What do you think would be the best matchup for the Padres in the NL? And what matchup do you think the Padres would want to stay away from?
Well, I'll tell you what, Sammy, that's a great question. I was on a radio station this morning in Philadelphia, and they asked me kind of a similar question. And, right now you just don't know. I mean, everybody is moving around. Philadelphia, to me, is right there. I think Milwaukee, they're not the most talented team, but they're playing a really crisp brand of baseball right now. Personally, I'd rather stay away from Philadelphia in the first round. Philadelphia scares me because they've got a lot of guys with a lot of playoff experience, and having to play in that ballpark is very difficult, as the Padres found out a few years back. But that Milwaukee team, I'm anxious to see how they're going to perform in the postseason because a lot of their guys don't have postseason experience, and it's a different postseason than the regular season. But I got to tell you, they got good starting pitching, they got a good bullpen. In the National League, you know what? It's kind of a flip of the coin. The National League is really, really good. The American League nowhere near as deep. But you look at what the Angels did to the Dodgers, went a perfect 6-0 against them. I was looking at the Padres. Padres have not fared well against the American League this year. But I got to believe the National League is going to be dynamite in the postseason, and I got to believe the National League, when it's all said and done, will whoever it's going to be, they'll come home with the World Series title this year over the American League.
I think so too, Coach. Coach Kentera joining us today. Coach, we always appreciate your time. I was wondering what you're doing spending your time recently. You've been out to the racetracks at all since they got up and going?
No, I really, I'm going next Friday. Tonight, my wife and I were going out to Fallbrook and have dinner with a gentleman and his wife. He used to be a third baseman at Maricosta College back in the day when they won the California State Baseball Championship. We're going to go out and probably talk a lot of Padre baseball, I would imagine, over dinner tonight. I'm going to get ready for some high school football. I'm looking forward to Stony Brook. And, hey, by the way, I don't know if you guys, and Fletch, maybe you've looked at Stony Brook already, but, that coach had got that thing turned around. They were 0-10 2 years ago. They brought in a new coach and went 8-4 last year, and they got like an All-American running back coming back this year. So it's not going to be a layup game for the Aztecs.
Yeah, Billy Coach, he's a good coach. This is certainly one that on the outside, you're looking at it, you feel like the Aztecs have to win it, but you're absolutely right. They got some pieces there, and we'll see what Sean Lewis can do to combat it. I'm excited for FanFest tonight out at Snapdragon Stadium. We'll be heading out to that. Tickets are free. GoAztecs.com. You can claim some there. Coach, it's always great chatting with you about all things San Diego sports, and people can find you on YouTube at San Diego Sports Talk. That's where the coach is these days. Thank you for your time, Coach. Appreciate you.
All right, Fletch, have a great time out at the stadium tonight.
Yeah, FanFest. Can't wait for it. There he goes. The coach, Kentera, one of the legends here in San Diego, maybe the biggest legend here in San Diego. We're keeping going today. We got a whole nother hour and 15 minutes on this show. John and Jim taking over at 3:00 today. Sammy and I going all the way up until 3. So stay right here. We will close out this hour coming up next at San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. Download the Prize Picks app today. When you do download it, use promo code Fletch, FLETCH. That's going to get you $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. How about this for your first $5 lineup? Bryce Harper, more than 1.5 total bases. Tariq Skubal, more than 8 pitcher strikeouts. Carlos Alcaraz, less than 22.5 total games. It is that easy to put in a Prize Picks lineup. You can do that now. It takes about 60 seconds to do so. But the Prize Picks app is my favorite daily fantasy sports app. And with it, you just pick 2 to 6 players. You pick their stat projections more than or less than. And if you do it correctly, you can win up to 2,000 times your cash on Prize Picks. Download the app today. Use promo code Fletch and understand that the promotions on Prize Picks are the best in the business. Taco Tuesday, player stats are discounted all day long. Flex Friday, you get a free, risk-free $20 entry on a Flex Friday that you can use when you're creating your lineup. Download the app today. The Flex Friday, especially great for football Sundays, where you can just kind of set it and forget it for a couple days and then have a nice little present to unwrap underneath your football tree. Download Prize Picks today. Use promo code Fletch. Get that $50 bonus, and you can run your game all season long on Prize Picks. And why would you not? Because football season is coming up in just a couple weeks. We're almost there to the mecca of the sports world, people. Download Prize Picks today. Run your game all season long. San Diego Sports 760. If you think we're wrapping things up, no. We are just getting started here on a Thursday. Sammy Long and I sticking around for a whole another hour. John and Jim going to be broadcasting live down at Snapdragon Stadium from 3 to 7 today at Aztecs Fan Fest. Excited for that. Sammy and I are both going to swing by the old Snapdragon Stadium as we get ready for the 2025-26 San Diego State football season. Looking forward to see what Sean Lewis and the boys have on display tonight. Before we get to any of that, I did want to give a quick shout out. Yesterday after the show, drove up to Mira Mesa, I guess you would call it, where Society Brewing Company is, and hung out with the founder of Society, Doug, a couple of the sales reps, Tyler and Casey. Had a great time, had a couple beers, got the behind the scenes tour of Society. If you haven't been, that place is awesome. That's been a hang for my wife and I for a few years now. When my family comes to San Diego, that's our favorite spot to go hang out at. So awesome beer. The Pupil is maybe my favorite San Diego beer. Go try them out. Great people over there running the company. What I like about it, Sammy, they all wear shorts and t-shirts to work. I wear shorts and t-shirt to work.
Well,
that's the right way to do things. It's a very relaxed.
You could be
vibe.
a little creepy if that's why you like them.
No, it's part of the vibe of the whole place.
No,
It's
I know what
very
you're saying.
relaxed.
I'm just
It's
saying
laid
I would help
back.
you rephrase that before some waitress comes over and go, I like the fact that you wear shorts and a shirt.
I'm talking about the guys who I met yesterday, Sammy. It's very
fellas,
much
the boys.
One of them was even wearing jorts, which is a cool move, dude.
Yeah, okay.
I dig jorts. I would wear jorts every day, except Rich Orberg would probably laugh at me a lot.
Yeah, you. No disrespect, but you got to hit leg day a little bit more if you're gonna wear jorts.
What are you talking about? My legs are fine. My legs are like the best part of me. The rest of me, melted popsicle. My legs, awesome.
No, but you got to work that leg press a little bit before you start getting in jorts.
Sammy, I got great calves. You don't even know.
Really,
dude.
you be hitting that calf press at the gym?
I don't even need to. They're
I'm
already
just
there.
curious because we're going to Vegas on Wednesday, and I don't know if you've been tapped in, just getting ready for summer bod at Circa.
I have not been tapped into getting ready for summer bod, but gambling bod, always ready to go.
What are we playing first? We don't
Drinking bod, always ready to go.
I'm just gonna right when we hit the tarmac, craps will be on the horizon in about 20 minutes.
I'm not really a big craps guy. Haven't been. Might be after next week.
Your boys are coming, right?
Yeah.
What's their game?
One of their game is just drinking a bunch and seeing what happens.
Oh, okay.
The other one does like craps a lot.
Okay, cool.
So we'll see. I'm down to play. I just don't really know what I'm doing.
Are
with
you going to be
craps.
upset if your boys and I leave you?
Not at all, dude. I'll go to bed. I'll be in bliss.
See,
Just
I'm already a little
peaceful
alarmed that you're
bliss.
talking about going to bed.
Sammy, hotel sleeps are elite. Hotel sleeps at Circa are elite. You just turn the air conditioning down
I
as
know
low
it
as
is,
it
but
goes.
Vegas is not. You don't talk about the bedroom at Vegas. You're talking about stumbling in at 3 a.m. and then going to sleep and then setting your alarm to make sure you don't miss your flight.
We are going to have very, very different Vegas trips. I have a feeling, Sammy. I'm in bed by 10 o'clock, maybe a nice cup of tea before I go to bed. That'd be nice.
What are you, 95 years
A
old?
little chamomile, perhaps. I don't know.
Please tell me your boys have a little bit more energy than you do.
Brian does. I don't know
Brian?
about David. David's also married and has like a house payment now. So Brian, bachelor. You and Brian gonna get along great.
Shout out to Brian.
He last time he and I were on Fremont Street, I think we stayed out till 4 a.m. I was
Good.
miserable the next day.
Good. All right, Brian will definitely we'll be hanging with.
So yeah, we're gonna have fun. Don't worry about that. But we also, Sammy, it's a work trip. So we are gonna
Oh, please.
we're gonna be a little mature at the very least.
God, you sound like such a dad right now.
San Diego Sports 760. I promise you we're gonna have a lot of fun, Sammy.
John and Jim, guess what? They're not on until 3 today.
Yeah, we got a whole nother hour of this.
Do you think Jim's complaining that he has to be on till 7?
Probably.
He's got a bedtime at like 8:30.
Yeah, but Jim also cares about things like traffic patterns and stuff. So he's gonna get off at 7. He's gonna be like, "Oh, my drive down to Imperial Beach is so nice today."
Jim does like weird stuff. Like it's surprising for someone like we all love Jim Russell.
Well,
But
love
for-
is a strong word.
For someone who's so angry, then he'll be like breaking down the WWE intently and things like that. Like it's something I wouldn't expect Jim Russell to be a big fan of, but
Loves himself some John Cena. There's nothing wrong with that. 858 texting in. Wide receiver rankings are easy. Number 1, Chris Olave, Mission Hills legend. Number 2, Rashid Shaheed, Mount Carmel legend. Number 3, Brandon Cooks, Stockton, California legend. The rest wide receivers suck. Let's go Saints, baby. Who dat? Think he's a Saints fan?
he's going with the local kids. Okay.
That is cool. I mean,
Chris Olave, I'm with. Rashid Shaheed's nice.
Rashid Shaheed had some big games last year, dude. Derek Carr felt like he was just kind of throwing the ball up in the air, hoping someone would come down with it. And Rashid Shaheed was there. a lot of the time.
Shout out to the Saints fan. I wonder who it's Tyler Shucks looks like he could be an okay quarterback. It's funny though. We're going to get into this more next hour.
Spencer Rattler's about to be the starter.
No, Shucks is going to take that job. It's funny how every quarterback who either changed teams, Justin Fields or the rookie Cam Ward, Jackson Dart, Shador, even Tyler Shucks had like a 75-yard touchdown. Every quarterback, and I know we can overreact to preseason games, had a nice first showing, and that you usually can't say that. A lot of times it's a check down, trying to get familiar with the game. It really felt like every quarterback stepped up and like was launching the ball downfield, kind of playing like they were in college.
Yeah, if you were just basing this off of X videos, you would say that Trey Lance is the best quarterback in the NFL.
Nah, Trey Lance.
He's just dominating out there in LA.
I'm curious right before the season starts how many young players are going to be traded, backup quarterbacks, for a decent pick if someone gets hurt.
I can basically hear the chants already starting up in LA. Bench Herbert. Bench Herbert. Bench Herbert.
Now you're just trolling the remaining Charger fans.
Trey Lance is the future, Sammy. We all know this. It's Trey Lance's team. It's Trey Lance's world. We're all just living in it.
That would be a Niner thing to let Trey Lance go and watch him go be a superstar somewhere else.
Watch him go win the first Super Bowl in Chargers history is Trey Lance hosting the trophy. Oh, I would be miserable. Miserable.
Hey, guess what? We're back in 4 minutes.
Yeah, so we'll see you then. Hour number 3 coming up next. It's Fletch for Gary Cooper over at Mountain Trust Mortgage and Realty. Give Gary a call today at 858-376-1299 because from what I hear, Gary, you got a pretty good opportunity for people.
I do. It's actually a lot of land, and it's located on Elena Lane in Vista, and it's definitely a must-see lot at the end of a cul-de-sac with plenty of space to build. The seller already has a soil study, surveyor, topography map, grading plans for a 2,000 square foot manufactured main home with a 2-car detached garage, and there's room for a 1,200 square foot ADU. Sewers in the street and ready for lateral hookup. Property already has a water meter on it. Gas utilities are at the property line. And there, even on the street, you can see the visual spray paint on the street with the markings outlining all the utilities locations. So this is like a really good lot. It's already pretty flat and it's ready to be built on. And we're offering it at $316,000.
Find it online today at mountaintrustrualty.com or give Gary Cooper a call, 858-376-1299, and tell him that Fletch sent you.
This sports sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Padres Dodgers 3-game set going this weekend. Game starts at 7:10 up in Los Angeles tomorrow night. Michael King will be making his start for the Padres, while Clayton Kershaw will be going for the Dodgers. And UFC 319 getting going from the United Center in Chicago on Saturday night. Dricus Du Plessis will be going up against Khamzat Chimaev. Chimaev is currently a -260 favorite. Du Plessis is +220 on the money line. At Progressive Insurance, they offer auto, home, and commercial auto insurance, plus a variety of business insurance options to cover your small business needs and more. Visit progressive.com today. Again, that's progressive.com.
San Diego Sports 760, hour number 3 here on the Fletch Zone. Don't worry, John and Jim weren't let go or anything. John and Jim are coming up next. They're coming up at 3 o'clock today. Sammy and I are filling in for an extra hour here. Just really putting the whole company on our backs, Sammy. That's what I like to think we're doing.
Carrying iHeartMedia right now.
Yeah, Sammy's just gonna mispronounce his way through some more UFC fights, and we're gonna do.
First off, I said Khamzat Chimaev right.
You said Khamzat's name right.
Dricus Du Plessis.
Du Plessis.
Oh please! You just looked at the pronunciation right there.
I absolutely did not. I have the fight up on my screen, but no, I did not look up the pronunciation. But it is Du Plessis.
How many texts are we gonna get right now, or who are these guys?
Who are who guys? You and me?
Yeah. No, over under on text.
Saying who are me and you?
Yeah, I'm saying because when you switch time slots, people go who is this?
I don't think any. I think people are gonna be a-okay with this.
We're too famous in San Diego now.
Yeah, we're just really well liked, Sammy. I think that's the thing. 858 let me know on the text line that I should probably rephrase the X videos and just say Twitter videos.
I was gonna tell you
Is
that.
there a website I'm unaware of?
Yeah, you shouldn't say the X videos that I'm pointing to. That's for the late night radio. It starts at 10 o'clock at night.
858 says, shucks your mouth and put some respect on Tyler's name. I'm completely delusional. Rattler sucks too.
Hey, your boy Tyler Shucks might be okay. He looked all right in the preseason. He's an older quarterback he was 26 coming out of college. Just the only reason he dropped in the draft is because they didn't want a 26-year-old quarterback, which seems kind of crazy to me because his first deal he'll only be 30.
Yeah, I agree. 858, good to know that we got a Saints fan listening on a daily basis. Are you local, 858, or are you listening from somewhere else? Curious about it. Let us know. Text the show, 70470. Start your message with team. This is the third hour show. If you're used to hearing John and Jim right now, my name is Ben Fletcher. That is Sammy Long. We'll be with you till 3 o'clock because John and Jim are going from 3 to 7 today. We're happy as hell to have you on board. Hang out, stay a while, kick your shoes off. We do a little something called the Big Three at the top of every hour, where Sammy Long takes us through the top stories in the sports world of the day. Sammy, it is that time. Let's smash that button.
Your lunch break is here. Ready to go back to the office and knock the socks off your friends? I mean, coworkers? It's time for the top stories of the day. The Big Three.
If you would like to watch the show, a couple ways for you to do so: on X at Fletch and Sammy, on YouTube at San Diego Sports 760. And if you head over to YouTube, our guy, the Universe Galaxy, is back talking some Michael Jordan, LeBron James. You know what, Universe Galaxy? Stay a while. We love having you here, man. And Sammy will debate with you all day long about MJ and LeBron. I think it's the most tired debate of all time. But thank you for being here, Universe Galaxy. Sammy, where are we starting hour 3?
So Padres Dodgers obviously getting going tomorrow, 3-game set. Padres 1-game lead on the division. We're gonna switch it up a little bit. What team scares you the most in the entire NL, Fletch? If you are picking the Padres postseason path, would you not want to see them play?
The easy answer is the Brewers. That is not my answer. My answer is absolutely, without a doubt, the Philadelphia Phillies. Because Kyle Schwarber, and I got into this a little bit last hour, but Kyle Schwarber has for a long time been a postseason killer, where he gets up when the lights are the brightest, he plays his best. He's always been that guy. I don't know that he's ever had this good of a regular season, and he's on fire right now. The Phillies are playing some really good ball. Kyle Schwarber's a big part of that. I just think the experience that him, that Harper, that Trey Turner have on that team, they are going to be the most experienced postseason team this year. Maybe outside of the Dodgers, maybe even with the Dodgers. I'm not sure. But the Philadelphia Phillies are terrifying once you get into the postseason. I would want to avoid them at all costs.
I was going to go with the Phillies, but since you rudely took my entry,
you're welcome.
I'm going to go the Dodgers. Obviously, it feels like just a coin flip every time these two teams get together with the Padres Dodgers. You kind of throw the records out.
Ownership, dude.
They know each other so well. Milwaukee's obviously dominating, but I'm going to go with a team that may not even make the postseason. The New York Mets. And I know that they have been awful recently. People are going to go, Sammy, what the hell are you talking about? And the Padres have fared well against the Mets. So I'm not necessarily saying that the Padres should be scared to play the Mets because I do think they would be favored in that series. It would win that series. But they are a team that right now I feel like people are a little bit too out on. This still is a team with Juan Soto, with Pete Alonso, with Francisco Lindor. Mark Vientos is a solid player that doesn't get enough love. Up and down that lineup in the bullpen quietly. Is probably now the second best bullpen in baseball behind the Padres. They do have a bullpen that if the bats become consistent again, which they haven't been recently, but we do see that a lot with a lot of teams over the season. Dodgers, I guess the Brewers start the year. Brewers are on fire now, but some of the big bats, the Phillies lineup, the Padres lineup, the Dodgers, the Mets are kind of formatted the same way where they're built on stars. They're going through it right now outside of Pete Alonso. I do think they will get it together. And that is a team that if they're in the wild card, I don't think any team would necessarily want to see because they do have some postseason experience heading back from last year. All right, let's go to the NFL. Wide receiver Rashee Rice for the Kansas City Chiefs sentenced to his hearing for his car crash in 2024 in September 30th. So he'll be able to play the first 4 games, including that Charger opening night. There's been a lot of talk who's going to win the AFC West. A lot of people are picking the Chargers. A lot of people are picking the Broncos. How would you stack the top 4 teams in the AFC right now?
Can we stop overthinking things? The Chiefs are still the best team in the AFC. I don't care if their roster's gotten worse. I don't care if Rashee Rice, he is going to get suspended, I would imagine. I don't care. Patrick Mahomes is still their quarterback. And I hate saying these words out loud around Sammy Long, who just takes this as if it's heroin. But the Chiefs are still the best team in the AFC unless we get proven otherwise. As simple fact, the Bills haven't beat them in the postseason. Bills probably have a better roster coming into this year. You know what they don't have? They don't have Patrick Mahomes. He is still the best player in all football. I don't care what Jason McIntyre or Colin Cowherd say, or anyone else for that matter. All you're doing is giving the Chiefs more bulletin board material. Until proven otherwise, Patrick Mahomes is the best player in the sport.
I certainly think the top 4, the Chiefs are definitely being disrespected. The Ravens are stacked from a roster perspective, just 1 through 22 in terms, or 1 through 53. But
can you acknowledge how gross that is for me to say all those words?
What, acknowledge it?
Yeah. Can you maybe say thank you or something?
Well, no, I don't need it. I expect
for being the
you know
truth teller?
firsthand as a 49er fan what Patrick Mahomes can do to a team.
See, and now I'm so nice, and all of a sudden you just have to ram that shiv straight into my chest.
But no, in terms of the AFC, it's stacked. It feels like the NFC is more Eagles, and can a team replace them? In terms of the AFC, you can make a shot for a lot of teams. I would put my Chiefs up there at the top. The Bills, Ravens. Number 4 is interesting, though, because do you go with the Bengals? Do you go with the upside of an offense that could be the best in the NFL? But when you look at the defense, I feel like that's a wild card team. I don't know if you can really trust that team to do anything. The Broncos have become that sexy pick that everyone's kind of fallen in love with. They were good last year, but I will remind everyone they couldn't beat any teams above 500, and they went 0-2 against the Chargers. They went 1-1 against the Chiefs, but the Chiefs were resting everyone in Week 18.
I don't get the Broncos love.
I don't get it either.
I feel it like in everybody, it's across the board of these NFL analysts. They all are saying, "Oh my God, the Broncos are the team to watch out for." Colin and J-Mac both had the Broncos winning the AFC West this year. I don't get it. Bo Nix is going to have a regression year.
The Broncos feel like a team that we say this every year. Houston was the team last year,
right?
How'd
they do?
They're the team that's going to surprise. Exactly. The year before that, it was Jacksonville. Jacksonville's the team I was going to surprise everyone. Going to take the league by storm. It feels like people are really falling in love with this, and I think Bo Nix is a solid quarterback. But at the same time, to not expect second-year regression, I think is silly. I don't get it in that regard.
I think every once in a while a story picks up steam. Like you get a Mike Florio or someone who will go on some big podcast and say some really brainy things about the Denver Broncos and why they're going to be so good. And Sean Payton gets so much respect, and then all of a sudden it starts to tumble, and they get a little bit inflated as to what they actually are. They're not that different from who they were a year ago. Yeah, they have a Hall of Fame head coach in Sean Payton. Bo Nix looked nice last year. I'm not ready to say Bo Nix is in the MVP conversation this year. That's insane. And that's what it would take to lift the Broncos over the Chiefs.
Yeah, I don't know who the 4th team would be in the AFC. I really don't, because
Bengals for me.
Like the Bengals, but the Chargers, you thought, I think Slater's a massive injury, because that was the one thing the Chargers were going to be able to point to, is that they had a dominant offensive line. They may not have the receivers on the outside of McConkey. Keenan Allen coming back is a solid move. But
did you see the video of Keenan and Derwin going at it today in practice?
No, I didn't see that.
It's pretty, like, you're looking at two guys who are elite, like Derwin James in elite coverage kind of safety, and Keenan Allen, an elite route runner. Watching those two go head-to-head, I love that stuff in training camp.
I'm so excited for the NFL. All right, let's head to college football.
We need it.
So Mad Dog Russo on First Take yesterday went off about the fact that Penn State is ranked number 2 over Ohio State, the defending champs, at number 3. Ohio State has maybe the 2 best positional players in the country, with Jeremiah Smith at receiver, Caleb Downs at safety, but they did lose some big pieces after the championship run last year. We were talking about this before the show. Do you think there's something to rewind a second? Mad Dog was mad because Penn State has never won anything. They always lose big games. That's James Franklin's narrative. They lost to Notre Dame in the semifinal last year. That's kind of the thing. But they're ranked ahead of them because of all the top high school recruits that they have. Do you think there's something to the fact that they need to wait to rank teams based on, like, the fact that you have preseason rankings and based on nothing? Based on 0 heading into the season.
Well, based on roster, based on head coach.
But it really is all projection. It's all projection that Drew Aller is going to take a next step. Like, if you look at Texas, someone could make an argument. They have one of the most stacked rosters, if not the most stacked roster in college football. But you put them number 1 for a quarterback who has started 2 games in his college career, and we think is going to be the truth. But
no, it's warranted. And I think college basketball, this argument's been around longer, of how you should wait on ranking college basketball teams in the AP top 25, or obviously net rankings, they do wait until about halfway through the year, but that the AP poll should wait for a few weeks before they rank any college basketball teams, because you simply don't know, especially with roster turnover. College football, this is going to start to be a problem, because if you do have teams like an Ohio State who's just ranked at the top blindly every year to start the season, and this year they have a tough game week 1, but a lot of years they'll just play some cupcakes. They'll stay near the top of the AP top 25. They'll stay near the top of the college football playoff rankings because they simply started there. I don't think it's necessarily fair. When you think about it, it doesn't really make a whole hell of a lot of sense. Like, do we rank teams in the NFL?
No, it's based on your record.
Thank you. Obviously, there's a lot more teams in college football. There needs to be some sort of centralized system, but it should be a 2 or 3 week process before you get ranked. And by the way, that would incentivize more teams to play better games at the beginning of the year, giving us all a better product.
Totally.
I think 3 weeks.
Texas 70470. Start your message with team if you agree or disagree with this. I think there's something to that. This was really bad when it was the top 4. When there were only 4 teams that made the college football playoff, it was horrible, because you'd see Alabama every year. They would have a cupcake schedule. They would go play Georgia the second to last week of the year. They would either beat them, or if they lost, they would meet them again in the SEC championship game again in 2 weeks, and they would win, and they would get in the top 4 based on their projections before. It's a little bit better now that you have a large portion of teams getting into the college football playoff, and 12 of them. But it does feel like Stephen A. made a point yesterday, and I get that the only reason that Ohio State's favored is because they're at home. They're in Columbus, so you gave them 3 points. So I believe they're 2.5 or 1.5 point favorites. But the number 1 team in the country, Texas, is on the road for the number 3 team in the country at Ohio State, and they're underdogs. First time that the number 1 overall team in the first week has been ranked as an underdog since 1978. It just feels like if you waited to rank these things, and I get that you need them for the resumes at the end of the year, you need to go, oh, they beat a ranked opponent. They were put here at this nature, but it feels like even in college basketball, North Carolina a couple years ago, number 1 team in the country after Kansas beat them in the title the year before, they don't even make the tournament. And it took them forever to follow the top 25. Even though they kept losing. I feel like it's a problem in college sports that needs to be changed.
Yeah, it doesn't really make sense when you think about it. Like, why should anyone be ranked before a single game has been played? It makes 0 sense.
But it's just coaches and writers getting together. Like, why do they have a sense?
Yeah, it's like property taxes. Doesn't make sense, but everyone still has to do it.
100%.
I thought you own the land. Why do we have to pay taxes on it? Doesn't make sense, Sammy. It's San Diego Sports 760. Take a quick break right now. When we come back, let's preview UFC 319 a little bit. One of the last ones we're going to see on ESPN. That's going away pretty soon here. And we'll talk some NFL wide receivers also today. Text line's blowing up about it. 70470. Start your message with team. Rank your top 5 wide receivers heading into the NFL season this year. San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. San Diego Sports 760. It's hour number 3 here on the Fletch Zone. If you're wondering where the hell John and Jim are, well, they're coming up in just a little bit. They're going 3 to 7 today. Sammy Long, Ben Fletcher, we are with you till then. We got a comment on YouTube from our buddy Demi Gunn saying, "What up, fellas? Super happy to wake up in first place today, but definitely don't want to get too hype on it. Got to perform for the next 10 for sure." Yeah, I mean, the next 10 games are against the Dodgers, Giants, Dodgers. So the next 10 are pretty crucial here in the National League West. What is our count at on in terms of games to go, Sammy? Do you know how many more is left?
Off the top of my head, it was like 40 something.
It was 40 something. I know that's right, but
But that is like, Demi, that's a great point because it's super exciting that the Padres are a game up, but then you also have to go show it against them because if the Dodgers end up winning over the 6 games that you're playing them 4-2, they're already going to have a tiebreaker if they win 2 games over the next 6. So that would be obviously tough for the Padres. You have to be a full game ahead of them, which they are right now. To their credit, they made up all that ground. But you also got to go prove it because there's a lot of the Dodgers are flailing. Everyone's like, "Ha, look at them." They had this massive payroll, and they can't even beat the Angels, which is pretty embarrassing, going 0-7 for them on the season. But it's like the Padres are playing good ball. It's one thing to do it against the Giants. Go do it against the Dodgers up in LA, and then people are going to really start to turn heads and go, "Wow, this Padre team is for real."
41 games left in the Padres season, and they got this 1-game lead right now, which means absolutely nothing in the grand scheme of things. It does mean a lot for this Padres team if they are able to get that first round bye in the postseason. Don't have to go into a wild card matchup. I think that'd be huge for them. Keep that bullpen fresh a little bit longer, and hopefully that makes things a little bit easier. Something that most Padre fans, I know myself, didn't even think was a possibility at the beginning of this year, being able to sort of waltz into the postseason with the National League West pennant already under your belt. That would be huge.
You also want to keep that kind of hunt mentality.
And maybe someone else knocks out the Dodgers.
Well, but also right. And it's like keep playing like you're not the little brother, but you're below them in the standings. Like don't just now that you're on top, you made it there. As to your point, it's only 1 game. Go out there and show it over the next week and a half. Don't just give it right back because I think all the momentum will just go away.
Padres got a ton of pressure on them this weekend because if you just let the Dodgers bounce right back in, it's like, what was all this for? What was winning 14 out of 17 for? Taking advantage of the Dodgers who've been losing. It'd be a big waste of time if you don't handle business this weekend. All right, UFC 319 is coming up this weekend on Saturday. Actually, one of the last few main cards we're going to have on ESPN now that the UFC has signed that massive $7.7 billion deal with CBS and Paramount Plus, where pay-per-views are going to be gone. Well, pay-per-view still here this weekend, which is a bummer for all of us. But UFC 319 is a good one. Dricus Du Plessis is going up against Khamzat Chimaev. Neither fighter, I don't think, has lost inside the octagon. Both of them perfect coming into this fight. Both of them absolute killers. I was a little surprised to see that more experts were actually on the side of Du Plessis heading into this one, because I think Khamzat is damn near unbeatable. Dude's ridiculous. I think
that's about the value that you're getting with Du Plessis. Listen, both fighters are excellent. If you're not familiar with either of them, Khamzat he's not my favorite fighter to watch because I like the guys who more stand up and strike, but he is a beast on the mat. He takes guys down. Of his last 5 fights, he's either gotten a first round submission or it's never gone past the third. I mean, he has a way of if you get to the ground, it's probably over.
And he gets you into one of those chokeholds, and he's just vicious.
It does not let you out. It's very Khabib. This is kind of in boxing, the boxer puncher, and then the UFC, it's the striker versus the grappler. It's always in boxing. It was usually the boxer won. Usually the guy that had the better jab, the quicker head movement. Every once in a while, the puncher wins. And this kind of same thing going with the striker grappler matchup. Du Plessis is interesting. You know, he fought Adesanya, major upset there. He's beat Sean Strickland twice, but then also 2 guys who want to stand up and trade, which favors a lot to Du Plessis. Khamzat's going to want to get this on the ground. I think what we're going to see in this fight is either Khamzat gets him early on a submission. Du Plessis' only shot is, like I mentioned, Khamzat's never been past the 3rd round. And there's something real to that when you're never going past the 3rd round and you're not having to fight in those championship rounds and fight one out, you can see Khamzat get a little tired. So if I'm Du Plessis, I'm taking my time and trying to land a shot in the 4th or 5th round and take him out cold because Du Plessis does have the power. But this fight's going to be really fun in terms of like not the 2 biggest stars in the UFC kind of network and card, but definitely a fun stylistic matchup for the fans.
It's a good card. Michael Venom Page is on this card. He's been a fan favorite for a long time.
That's probably gonna be the best fight. Him and Cannonier. They're two strikers.
It's gonna be awesome. It's like you said, it's gonna be all punching. It's gonna be great. Aaron Pico, who's a young American, really good fighter, facing off with Lerone Murphy, who's out of England. It's gonna be a fun card for UFC 319. I'm just bummed that we have to pay for it, Sammy. One of the last ones we got to pay $80 for.
And we had a texter text us in the other day, which I thought was really good. It's hard to build a boxing and UFC pay-per-view star. Boxing, actually, for all of its faults with the not giving people the fights they want to see and not stacking the undercard, has had more stars over the last few years in the UFC. But the UFC has given people the fights they want to see. Going to the Paramount Plus, where if you pay whatever it is, $10 a month for this subscription, that's how you build a star versus paying. A lot of people can't afford to pay $80 every couple weeks for a fight night. And you can really kind of build these guys in a network because the UFC has lacked stars. That's the one problem with the UFC right now is after Conor McGregor, Khabib wasn't really a star. He was just the villain to Conor McGregor. You either a Conor McGregor fan or you weren't. You're pulling for Khabib. John Jones seems to be on his way out. He might come back. Conor McGregor, they're always talking about that. Sugar Sean O'Malley was supposed to be the guy that really kind of took over the name brand of the UFC, but he hasn't won quite enough to be that. So going to the streaming platform where we're going to see a lot more fights to the mass, the public and the masses, I think we're going to be able to build more big time fighters.
Yeah, the UFC absolutely hates Merab Dvalishvili because Sugar Sean cannot beat him, and he's boring. But he can't beat him. The dude's a machine. He will not get tired, and Sean's whole thing is kind of make you get tired and then throw that one big punch. Merab just doesn't get tired.
And I know we're going to break, but strikers sell in this terms of if you just take clips. What do people like seeing in the NBA? They like seeing crazy dunks. When you see a crazy knockout, that's something that goes viral on social media.
And that's what Sean's great at.
Right. So
he's
that's
big
what
personality.
sells.
He's fun outside of the octagon, whereas Merab is boring as hell. I listened to a podcast with him. He is just boring.
Right. Like Duplessis, the UFC would much rather have Duplessis win this fight than Hazmat.
For sure. All right, it's going to be fun. UFC 319 coming up this Saturday. Coming up next, though, we want to hear from you. 70470. Start your message with team. Give us your wide receiver rankings heading into 2025. We did this with running backs yesterday. It was a lot of fun. Sammy and I will unveil our top 5 list coming up next. It's San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app.
The sport's sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Padres Dodgers getting going tomorrow night from the Ravine up in LA. Michael King will be on the mound for the Padres, while Clayton Kershaw will be going for the Dodgers. That game gets going at 7:10. And San Diego State has named their starting quarterback. Jaden Denegal, the transfer from Michigan, will be at the helm for the Aztecs this upcoming season. Progressive Insurance says if you're a renter, make sure you're protected. Renter's insurance includes options that cover stolen property, personal injury, and living expenses if your place is damaged. Get a quote for renter's insurance at progressive.com.
Quick question for you, Sammy, before we get into our conversation about NFL wide receivers. Where are you at on people who like to start Instagram accounts for their pets?
Not a fan.
Me neither. Tell you what, I got a friend from college. I love her to death. She actually introduced me to my wife. But her and her fiance got a puppy about a year ago now. And all of a sudden on my suggested follows on Instagram, I'm seeing this dog named Juju.
Leave that dog alone.
That's what I'm saying. You don't need the dog to make you money.
But you know what it screams to me? It screams attention. That's just me. It's also like,
Kat Fisher has an Instagram account for her cats.
Love cat, but
she is a crazy cat lady.
That's interesting. Oh, also though, now she's a busy woman, but like how much time? Because I have friends who like have done this before too. How much time do you have on your hands to run a separate account?
I know.
That takes work,
especially behind the scenes. Like Sammy and I put in a couple hours of editing video every day, for the most part.
Totally.
Like it's work, man. And to see some of the things that people do with their animals, editing video for a dog who's not even that cute, it's insane to me.
Whoa. Boy, I hate how they have when the dogs are doing tricks and stuff and they're like making them run through. By the way, funny you said this about dogs. To this morning, quick little side note story. I get home from the gym and I'm walking to our back patio and there's two massive dogs in our backyard. I'm like, what's going on? Like,
and they are not your dogs?
No, they're not our dogs. Like in the new neighbors who just moved in like last week, they just hopped the fence and they come walking out and they're like, oh yeah, they're in your yard. I'm like, yeah, they are.
It's a little freaky.
Yeah, I'm like, listen, I love these dogs, but like, are you going to come get them or not? And then it took them like 20 minutes to come lure the dogs back over the fence. So like, this is like becoming a thing now where the dogs are just in our yard all the time.
I don't think I like that. I don't think I like that at all. All right. I got my rankings, Sammy. Do you have your rankings for wide receivers?
Yeah, you start.
All right, then let's get some music going for the NFL season. By the way, we just got this text from the 858 saying, starting a petition to lock you guys in for a third hour every single day. You are the best show on sports radio.
Thank you, 858.
Sammy's mom texting into the show. That's so nice of you. I love to hear it. And Sammy, make sure you get the check in the mail for the 858. That was a paid advertisement. We appreciate you, 858. Thank you for being here, man. I do appreciate it. NFL music is here. Let's get some rankings out of the way. At the wide receiver position, I think mine are going to be a little controversial. I'll just tell you 1 and 2 because I think everyone's 1 and 2 is about the same when it comes to wide receivers. I do have Jamar Chase over Justin Jefferson simply because of who their quarterback is.
That's fair.
But those are my top 2 wide receivers heading into this year. With that being said, number 5 might catch me some flack. Spent a little bit of time injured last year, but for my money is the most fun wide receiver to watch in all of football at this point. It's Nico Collins for the Houston Texans. The way that dude makes people bounce off of him in the open field, the way he's able to use his body for positioning, he is great at the intermediate level. He's great at the deep level. I got Nico Harrison of the Houston Texans, or Nico Collins, excuse me, not Harrison. Nico Harrison's the GM of the Dallas Mavericks.
He is not as talented as his job.
Nico Collins, I think, is a phenomenal wide receiver, and he cracks my top 5 because we're talking about 2025. He's about to have a massive season. Number 4 is CeeDee Lamb of the Dallas Cowboys. I think CeeDee Lamb has all the talent in the world, and when he and Dak Prescott are on the same page, you look at fantasy football, that's what you want. High volume receiver who's going to catch 10 balls a game when he's right, and he's got a quarterback in Dak Prescott who, look, what do we all say about Dak? He's good enough, but he's not great enough. I think CeeDee Lamb is absolutely still the 4th best wide receiver in all of football. Number 3 is where things get a little wacky. I do have Puka Nacua at number 3.
Wow.
I put a lot into route running, and I don't think there's a better route runner in football right now than Puka Nacua. The connection he has with Matthew Stafford, is special, man. And when you go into a game knowing that Puka Nacua is going to be the one that kills you and you still can't do anything about it, whether he's double teamed or not, Puka Nacua just always seems to be open. If he's healthy, if Matthew Stafford is healthy, he is absolutely the third best wide receiver in football heading into this year.
Okay, so recap your list real quick.
5, Nico Collins. 4, CeeDee Lamb. 3, Puka Nacua. 2, Justin Jefferson. 1, Jamar Chase.
Interesting. Solid receivers. There's some massive omissions on that list.
I know.
Justin Jefferson is 1 for me. You can argue Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. I'm going Justin Jefferson simply because I think that the revolving door of quarterbacks, Kirk Cousins, Sam Darnold, it doesn't match his production, or he has production no matter who is at quarterback. I expect the same thing to be for J.J. McCarthy. That's the only reason why I'm docking Jamar Chase, because he has Joe Burrow throwing the ball. But if you want Jamar Chase at 1, I can't argue with you. Jamar Chase is unbelievable. So number 1, Justin Jefferson. Number 2, Jamar Chase. I think CeeDee Lamb is number 3. Another guy who had massive production last year despite Dak Prescott not being there. CeeDee Lamb, despite all the dysfunction in Dallas, that was one of the few things that Jerry Jones has gotten right over the years, which is pay CeeDee Lamb his money. You drafted him high in the draft, so that when that whole saga was playing out, it's like, are you kidding me? You draft him when the year that you drafted CeeDee Lamb, you really needed defense because you wanted to make a splash, and then you're not going to sign him when he's had some of the best production at the receiver position in the last 5 years. So I'm going to go CeeDee Lamb 3. Number 4, I'm going to go with a little bit of a shocker. I'm still going to go with Tyreek Hill. And I know that he had a massive down year last year, and he is 32 years old. But, again, a lot of that due to the fact that Tua Tagovailoa hurt. A lot of that offense, Jalen Waddle suffered injuries at times last season. Devon Achane had some injuries. I know that there's a lot of, is he going to get traded, all this kind of stuff. If Tua's there, he's going to have a massive bounce-back season. And if he gets traded somewhere, I mean, people have mentioned the Bills. People have mentioned back to Kansas City. People have talked about the Chargers. Wherever he were to go, if he has a real quarterback throwing the ball, Tyreek Hill is still one of the most electric game breakers in the entire league, and a guy that, if you're talking about having a game plan for, no one changes the defense more than Tyreek Hill. And number 5, I'm going to go, this is a little bit based on projection, but also with last year's stats. Malik Neighbors for the New York Giants. Malik Neighbors.
Who's throwing him the football, Sammy?
Who's throwing Jackson Dart? Russell, I hope it's Jackson Dart or Jameis Winston, because Jameis Winston will throw interceptions, but Jameis Winston will give him the ball and give him opportunities to win, just along with Jackson Dart. Russell Wilson has kind of become a check down king, so that might not be great for his fantasy stats for the first few weeks while he is the quarterback before he gets benched. But Malik Neighbors last year, by himself in that offense, him and Tyrone Tracy, not a great offensive line, had no other receivers alongside him, and Daniel Jones is able to have a solid year with him. I think Malik Neighbors is going to take that next jump into like an elite receiver in the National Football League this year.
I really like Malik Neighbors. I do. I worry about who's throwing him the football. That'd be the only a top 5 talent at wide receiver. Sure, Malik Neighbors is on there, but I just worry about who's throwing him the ball. Some honorable mentions for me in terms of projecting out. Again, I do think DK Metcalf belongs on some sort of list. It's going to depend on how Aaron Rodgers looks at quarterback, but DK Metcalf is one of the most special athletes in the entire NFL. Drake London, is this the year where it happens? He should be great. He should probably be on the top 5 list, but the Falcons have a lot of those. I think Kyle Pitts should be on the top 5 list for tight ends, but it just hasn't happened yet. Bijan Robinson should be on the top 5 list of running backs. We all think he's going to be there. Is he? I don't know. Drake London, similar thinking.
Some of this, Drake London, I really like. I feel bad about leaving Amon-Ra off. 949 texts in. Number 1, Jefferson. Number 2, Chase. Number 3, St. Brown. I can't argue with that.
Amon-Ra is legit.
The only reason I docked Amon-Ra is because he plays in an offense that is so stacked that I feel like these other guys have had to prove more by themselves. Number 4, CeeDee Lamb, and then 5, Nico Collins. Nico Collins is
he's special, man.
He's a very good receiver. But I left Puka off. Like it's such a tough list. It goes to show that when you're having a fantasy draft in the next week or 2 weeks, whenever it is, the talent at running back, there's a lot of talents at running backs, but it's weird how this year there's a lot of teams that are going with a committee approach. So there's not really like a one bell cow back. It feels like gone are the days of a bell cow back unless you have a Saquon Barkley, a Derrick Henry, a Bijan Robinson.
Even like Derrick Henry isn't a bell cow back because his quarterback runs so much.
To that point, it's like, and you wonder if like the way that it was always thought of as 30 years old is the time that it drops off for running backs. Well, now with kind of the NFL changing to going more of a committee situation, like maybe that extends. We're seeing Derrick Henry at age 32 still be this good.
Yeah, but he got a late start. He went to Alabama, came into the league, but then DeMarco Murray was running in front of him for 4 years.
People were scared to usually draft Alabama players because of the strength and conditioning.
Right.
The receiver list is just like, I mean, you just mentioned Drake London. Drake London, we didn't talk about Rashee Rice. Could be the 10th best receiver in the league.
How about Jackson Smith and Jigba up in Seattle? He's incredible.
I mean, these are guys that aren't even mentioned that are going to be like really talented receivers.
Garrett Wilson, Terry McLaurin, Debo Samuel. Like, you can keep going down this list for a long time. There are some really, really talented players. We didn't even mention the guys heading into year 2, which is a lot of time when you see receivers really pop, like a Marvin Harrison Jr. Is he about to have a huge year for Arizona? I think he might.
Brian Thomas Jr.,
Xavier Worthy. There are tons of names at the wide receiver room. That's going to be a really, really fun.
858 is not happy that you mentioned Kyle Pitts.
Why?
Said, did you say Kyle Pitts top 5? Please, I'll bet you anything, Fletch, that he finishes outside of the top 12.
You weren't listening closely enough. I said should be a top 5 tight end. He should be a top 5 tight end. The athleticism that he has, he's a stud. He's a physical freak, but he never has been. So why would we put him in the top 5? We're not going.
Are you seeing all those memes where it's Anna de Armas and it's Kyle Pitts looking at me in the 6th round of the fantasy football draft?
Everyone's gonna do it. I promise you. There's someone listening right now that's gonna be like, "Oh my god, I have to take Kyle."
You know
Pitts.
who was my guy for years was Evan Ingram. Killed me every year.
Yeah.
I kept getting
and
him.
He bounced around so much. He was on the Giants. He was on the Steelers. He bounced around a ton, and he was never great. Should have been. Great athlete.
God, I can't wait for football.
You know who I like? The sword I always end up dying on. I think Mike Gesicki is going to be like the next Rob Gronkowski.
Gesicki.
I love Mike.
He was
Gesicki.
nice for Miami for a minute.
He was nice with Miami, and now he's on the Bengals. And it's like, I'm telling you, Mike Gesicki's going to pop off. I promise you, I'm going to be drafting him in a fantasy
You think Darren
league.
Waller resurrects his career in Miami?
Maybe. But it's like, I love Mike Gesicki. I think he's Baby Gronk. That's the nickname I have for him in my sleeper app. But it still hasn't happened. But he does the white boy gritty better than just about anybody. All right, take a break here. Final segment of the show. Get you ready for John and Jim. Get you ready for the Aztec Fast Showcase coming up next. It's San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. San Diego Sports 760. We are just about out of here on a Thursday. John and Jim are coming up next. They're going to be live from Snapdragon Stadium. John Schaefer actually has a post up on his X account, a picture from kind of inside the tunnel before they get out. But John and Jim will be there for Aztecs Fan Fest. By the way, go Aztecs.com. You can claim some tickets for Aztecs Fan Fest. Sammy and I are going to head out there tonight, get our first look at the 2025 San Diego State Aztecs football team. Excited for that. Sammy, you pumped for Fan Fest?
Fan Fest, yes, sir, boy.
We gonna have a beer before or something?
You got to take your dog somewhere or what?
I got to go drop my dog off at my wife's school because she's going to be there late tonight and she doesn't want him home alone tonight while I'm at Fan Fest.
What's she doing at the school late?
She's working, dude. I'm telling you, this is the time of year. Teachers don't have kids in school yet. Well, at some schools, I know Lakeside, they're not in till next week. And so she's moved into a new classroom. So she's working, getting everything ready.
Oh, okay.
She'll be there till like 9 o'clock tonight, probably.
Oh, wow.
Teachers spend a lot of time and money on their classrooms, which is why you can go over to iHeartRadio.com/teachers to nominate your favorite teacher to win $5,000. Today's teacher of the day, Jessica. She teaches at Rolling Hills Elementary School in San Diego. People told us she always goes above and beyond for her students, current and past. She's fun, loving person who always has a smile on her face. Congrats, Jessica. You're in the running to win $5,000.
Where did she teach again?
Rolling Hills Elementary.
Jessica, throw it in all the other teachers' face at Rolling Hills Elementary. You are the teacher that was nominated. That is voted on by the kids themselves.
And if you want to give a teacher an opportunity to brag, go to iHeartRadio.com/teachers. You can nominate a teacher to win $5,000. Jessica's just our nomination for today. We'll see who it is for tomorrow.
Okay. Have you nominated Kendall? That feels illegal.
Can't do it. Unfortunately, I did ask the bosses here if I could, and they said,
you really went and asked that?
Yeah, dude. Kendall's probably going to spend $5,000 on her classroom this year.
$5,000.
Yeah. Teachers.
Are you buying them laptops?
Pocket.
Like, what's going on there? I just throw some crayons on the desk and a notebook.
Lots of Hobby Lobby. I'll tell you that. Just getting cute decorations for everything.
Well, that's okay. I'm not ripping Kendall, but that's kind of on her. You don't need decorations for a classroom.
Whoa. I didn't say it. Sammy said that, Kendall, if you're listening. 858. Mike Ditka should be a top 5 tight end. I'm talking about in the current NFL.
You keep saying should. That's what he's responding to. You say Kyle Pitts should be a top 5 tight end.
He should.
Well, he's not.
He hasn't, but he should. Like you and I talked about going into last season. If you were to pick a Madden team, the Atlanta Falcons would be it. Drake London, stud. Kyle Pitts, stud. Bijan Robinson, stud. Kirk Cousins at the time, stud. But they're just not even a playoff team.
I wonder, who's like going first in fantasy? Like Trey McBride? Like Trey McBride
for tight ends?
Yeah. I mean, because like Kelsey, because of his age, probably not. That's what 949 thinks.
Who's the kid in Detroit? Sam.
Oh, Sam Laporta.
Sam Laporta?
Yeah, probably big season for him upcoming in that offense.
I think so. But it's not Kelsey anymore. It's not Kittle anymore. Remember, it used to be if you didn't have Zach Ertz, George Kittle, or Travis Kelsey, you had
to pick one of the top 3 or you're out.
Hey, Fan Fest coming up tonight. That's going to be a lot of fun. I do think Big Rich is going to be swinging by the set while John and Jim are on the air. So if you want to hear from Rich Orenberger, who is coming back for another season as the color analyst on the San Diego State broadcast, you'll hear from Rich coming up in just a little bit. I do think Sammy and I might be making an appearance on John and Jim a little bit later on. So keep it locked in here on San Diego Sports 760. Before we get out of here, though, Padres, Dodgers, get going tomorrow in Los Angeles. Michael King on the mound for game 1. We did get a text a little bit ago from the 858 that says, do you guys think it's smart or dumb to start King back so soon versus the Dodgers? I think it's just his turn in the rotation. And since he's been back in the rotation, he's pitched 1 game so far. This is game 2. We need to see something from Michael King, though. Like the Padres are going to be relying on him in some pretty big starts heading down towards the end of the season. Tomorrow is the first one of those. Michael King did not look right in his first start. I'm curious to see what he looks like tomorrow night. That's why the Kershaw-King matchup is actually the most fascinating to me of the entire series, because it's going to determine so much for the Padres. We need to see what Michael King is moving forward to know if you can trust him once you get closer to the postseason.
That text, I get them throwing Michael King out there. I don't have a problem with that. I could see the problem of you throw him out there for game 1, and I'll tell you why. Because if he gets blasted again like he did in his first game, and he only went 2 innings, I believe, in his first outing, then you're going to the bullpen that early tomorrow night, which over a 3-game set, we're talking about this in playoff series. Usually we see him get better. When later on in the series, you've seen the bullpen arms multiple times. You'd prefer to not go to the well that early tomorrow night to go win the game with the entire bullpen.
Well, they're rested after yesterday's just beat down of the Giants and today's off day.
They're going to be fine, but I'm saying in terms of Saturday and Sunday, it'd be nice if you could get some length from Michael King. I get them matching it up against Kershaw because Kershaw has been very up, and he's either money this year or he gets absolutely shelled.
And he's only going like 3 or 4 innings this year, isn't he?
He's actually given the Dodgers some length, surprisingly. He's been going like 5. He went 6 a couple times, but if the Dodgers can't go to their pen early, that's I think going to be the two storylines heading in the game, the weekend series. A, whose back end is going to be better? Because Fermin's been fantastic. Laureano, the Dodgers back end, and it might get pushed up if Max Muncy's not there. He got scrubbed from the lineup last night because he injured himself in the cage on his side. Like, Dodgers fans want to just be done with Michael Conforto and Alex Call, who they got over from the Nationals at the trade deadline. I mean, they have been offering no production recently at the bottom of the lineup. So who plays better there? And then I think the big thing is can the Padres get to the Dodgers early and make them go to their pen, because the pen is completely hurt. Tanner Scott, Kopech, Yates, there's a bunch of guys on the IL. And if you can make the Dodgers get in their pen, especially early on Friday night, that probably spells good things for the rest of the weekend. Whereas if the Dodgers get some length, that definitely favors in the Dodgers' hands.
I'll say it so the text line doesn't have to. Sammy Long is the one guy who knows a lot about a good back end. Let me tell you what. Michael King, by the way, in his last start through 57 pitches, I would imagine he's on a pitch count again, dealing with an arm injury. So it might just be inevitable that you're going to get to the pen kind of early. He's going to be on some sort of pitch count. Just his second game back from injury, he missed half the season already. So I would imagine Michael King probably won't get more than 4 innings. So are you going to go to David Morgan? Are you going to go to some of the lower leverage guys in game 1? Well, you better hope you have a lead in that situation.
Well, that's what's like, you're assuming tomorrow night they're going to pull out all 5, but it's like, A, do you have a lead? Can you get a lead? You're thinking the Dodgers are probably going to come out with their hair on fire because they were awful against the Angels over the first 3 games. Who gets a lead first in the series is going to be really crucial, because you're looking at Saturday. That's a very even pitching matchup between Snell and Cease. If you want to give it to Cease, I get that because he's been excellent recently. Snell kind of got back to form in his last one. And then Sunday, the Padres are pitching 2 pitchers this weekend, and Michael King and Yu Darvish, who you don't totally know what you're getting from. You don't exactly know what you're getting night in, night out. It is interesting. Well, like some of the best pitchers in this series, like Pavetta's not going for the Padres, Ohtani's not going for the Dodgers, Yamamoto's not going. So it'll be interesting if they're avoiding them this weekend. How that kind of comes into play with some of the lower tier arms.
All right, we're about out of here. John and Jim are coming up next. If you missed the news of the day yesterday, Jaden Denegal was named the starting quarterback for the 2025 Aztecs football season. Bert Emanuel Jr., the backup from Central Michigan, he came over in the transfer portal. Excited to see how these two guys look this year. Tonight is going to be our first look at that. It's the Aztec Fan Fest down at Snapdragon Stadium. I believe gates open at 5 o'clock for parking. 6 o'clock is when everything starts going on around the stadium. 7:05 is going to be kickoff of a little simulated game they're going to have tonight, and should be a lot of fun, man. I'm excited to get eyes on these guys. We talked with Ryan Lindley a couple hours ago now, the senior offensive assistant over at San Diego State. And we talked about some of the San Diego guys, the Trey Whites, the Tano Latulis, Lucky Sutton. There is a ton of San Diego high school talent on this San Diego State college football team, which is what you always want. And that's one of Sean Lewis's goals that he stated when he came and got the job here, was keeping San Diego talent in San Diego, because it's been such a hotbed here for talent. Alex Smith, Reggie Bush, go back further, tons of names who have made it into the NFL who did not play their college ball here in San Diego. So Sean Lewis has taken steps in the right direction, but obviously the wins need to stack up a little more this year than they did last year. Well, tonight's the first step for that. The fans will get to have eyes on everybody playing in an Aztecs uniform tonight. I'm pumped for it. Sammy's pumped for it.
We got a spread on tonight's game
for San Diego State's
Fan Fest
game.
Yeah.
Minus 7,000 that both teams win. How about that, Sammy? You want to bet?
I'm talking about
FanFest?
point spread between the offense and defense. They should have let me fill out the format for this.
I hope the offense has a little chip on its shoulder. The defense definitely performed better last year.
Exactly.
Hopefully the offense comes out there.
Off day tomorrow for the better unit.
I don't hate that. How about steak dinner for the better unit?
Steak dinner on Ben Fletcher.
Whoa.
Entire Aztecs team.
Pause.
Mark it down.
Someone else pay for it. I'll barbecue it. How about that? All right, that's it for us. John and Jim coming up next live from Snapdragon Stadium. Stay tuned at San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app.